So Diddy clocked Ray J cheeks. This not coming from me. This coming from him. Ray J said it himself. And he didn't even know he was getting recorded from his girl. And the fact that he said it in front of his girl is wild. Y'all
Asshole been open more than this man ever in my life.
Should I say I have to take
everybody here, bro? Everybody, you got one?
But girls don't do
Diddy took my ass.
Okay, just say, Diddy made you, like, what did you say, Diddy?
What you recording?
Watch this.
Nice shirt.
Hey, thanks, man. You got a cigarette?
Whoa.
I don't have a cigarette.
Okay, thanks.
Hold on, man. You became real normal the second I started talking fist bump.
You got a buck?
I don't have anything, I promise you. But hey, nice shirt.
What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to my channel. How you guys doing? If you guys are brand new here, you guys don't know what we do, don't worry. I'm gonna break it down for you guys. We talk about the most scariest and creepiest videos on the net, on the web, that's gonna make us question everything. Let's do what we do best, seekers. Say with me, y'all. Let's seek the truth.
World right now. A woman gave birth in a Waymo car on the way to a hospital in San Francisco. The former Olympic snowboarder Ryan Wedding was officially added to the FBI's top 10 most wanted list for reasons I will not say in this video. A businessman from Dubai just bought his wife a $50 million private island. His reasoning for this, he said, was so that she can swim comfortably. Intimacy and activity has doubled in young adults between the age of 18 and 29 in the last 14 years. In 2010, it was 12% of that age group that had not had intimacy in the last year, and now that age group today is 24%. Booking.com canceled a woman's $4,000 hotel reservation, then offered the same rooms for $17,000. Americans are hoarding our phones longer than ever, and it's apparently costing the economy. A U.S. judge resigned after being disciplined multiple times for wearing an Elvis wig in the courtroom.
Are tweakers just paid government actors?
Watch this.
Nice shirt.
Hey, thanks, man. You got a cigarette?
Whoa.
I
Switch
don't have
up.
a cigarette. Hold on, man. You became real normal the second I started talking fist bump.
You got a buck?
I don't have anything, I promise you. But hey, nice shirt. Holy shit, they're paid actors. They're paid actors. They choose to tweak.
He chose. He just, hey, man, you got a cigarette?
Holy fuck.
They weird.
They're normal.
Paid actors,
haven't
bro?
heard what's going on in Pacific Washington. Parts of it are completely underwater. And the reasoning for it all is because they're saying that the levees have broken, and they are currently at a level 3 evacuation. And one of the levees that broke is the one that holds the White River. There are homes that are flooded. There are vehicles that are flooded. There are even parts where the water, as you can see here, are completely covering the vehicles. As a matter of fact, take a look at this. Just have a look at that right there. How intense that water is.
It's insane, bro.
This is insane.
It's just gushing.
Exactly. Prayers up to Washington. And the scary part is there are people in boats that are riding around through their own neighborhoods. As you can see here, evacuations are underway in Washington following life-threatening flash floods. So if you are anywhere near this and you can hear me or you can hear the warnings, it's time to get out. So once again, this is a life-threatening situation in Pacific Washington. So if you know people out of there and you could communicate with them, if you haven't heard from loved ones or friends, tell them it's time to go and get out. Prayers up to everyone affected by this, and may they all make it out safe and sound. Let me know your thoughts on this in the comments, and as always, I'd love to hear from you.
Thanks for the
I
update.
know I'm not the only one who was in those MySpace chat rooms or like the AOL chat rooms when I was like 8 years old. Like, I know I'm not the only one. But it was like an 18-plus-year-old chat. And so they were talking about some crazy things, and I'm sitting there 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, looking at these things. I'm like, first of all, I was like kind of oblivious. So like some things they would say I didn't understand, but like something like the curse words and then talking about certain things, like I was like, yo, this is insane to me. But if you guys have ever been in those AOL chats or the MySpace chats, or even like those weird chats that were just like kind of dark webbish type chats, you understand at a young age those chats are so strange. The people in there are even stranger. But I want to ask, where are y'all today? Like, not the people who are my age, but like the older people. Where are y'all today? Like, did y'all know that y'all were talking to a bunch of like 8, 9, 10, 11-year-olds in those chats? Like, I was like 10 years old, gang, and y'all were talking to me like weird. And hey, the police, the police.
Breaking news
no
all over
idea,
the world.
bro.
This is your final warning. If you still don't know what's going on, you're definitely going to want to watch this. In just over 24 hours time, it's arriving. And yeah, are we cooked? I don't know. Everybody knows about this object, 3i Atlas, which they've said is just a meteor. This is where it is at the moment. It's going to be passing Earth here tomorrow, December 19th. As I said before, there's a lot of these weird clickbait videos coming out. Like, obviously, that ain't real. But what is real is that the thing definitely is strange. Whether it's a comet or a piece of ice or whatever they're saying it could be out in space, it is definitely strange. From moving in a completely unique way to doing things that comets and meteors don't tend to do. But there has also been a lot of very high up officials, researchers, people that used to work at NASA coming out saying this thing definitely isn't that and is definitely something that is, from another planet. Whether you believe it's from another planet or you don't, it's still very strange, and tomorrow it will be passing by Earth. I highly, highly doubt it's going to be anything bad, and I don't think we're going to be getting 6'7" aliens walking on Earth tomorrow. But it is going to be very close, and we are actually going to get photos of it. NASA and other people have come out and said, yes, it probably is a meteor, we're pretty certain it is, but we can't officially confirm 100% until it's very close. As I say, it's portraying patterns of things that are very unusual and not really seen before. So stay tuned, I'll keep you posted.
That's why your birth order actually really matters. So the following is part 1 of a 4-part series determining which is the superior sibling. Starting with firstborns, a study in 2015 found that they tend to have the highest IQs out of all of the siblings. And not only that, but a separate study found that the firstborns were also most likely to have jobs that paid $100,000 or more. A psychologist at Temple Uni offered a potential reason for this, saying many parents spend more time reading and explaining things to their firstborns, which could explain why they also tend to get better grades. However, Frank continued by saying firstborns are also generally subject to stricter rules and are more likely to face harsher consequences for wrongdoing than their younger siblings. And as the youngest sibling myself, I reject this. A Swedish study concluded that generally firstborns are more emotionally stable, persistent, socially outgoing, willing to assume responsibility, and take initiative. And how this all translates to careers, they are more likely to be managers and be in occupations requiring more leadership ability. And interestingly, 91% of US astronauts, 53% of US presidents, and 80% of students at Harvard are either firstborn or only children. Okay, how about we talk about some of their flaws? Researchers found that the most bossy out of all birth orders and genders are firstborn females. You bitch. Firstborns are also most likely to be overweight, obese, and to have high blood pressure. So take your money and your success because you're dying early anyway. Part 2 is coming tomorrow, and we're looking at you next, middle children.
So Diddy clocked Ray J cheeks. It's not coming from me. This coming from him. Ray J said it himself. And he didn't even know he was getting recorded from his girl. And the fact that he said it in front of his girl is wild. Y'all, listen to this shit.
Asshole been open more than this man ever in my life.
What should I say? I have to do
Everybody here, everybody who got one. Bro, my shit run. Kitty took my ass. You can't hold it no more. My shit been running ever since. My asshole been open more than this man ever in my life.
Well, hold up, y'all. It get worse.
Out of fart, my shit come out. It's crazy.
All you gotta say, next time you step behind the gate, just say, Diddy made you, what'd you say, Diddy?
What you recording me?
His girl tried to make it into a joke. That man was dead ass serious. And the fact that he said Diddy took it, I think Ray J just gave that shit up. He been trying to tell us for the last couple of months. Y'all remember, he was on the Mafia-thon 3. And he was doing the wildest shit. That shit wild, fool. You cannot go back and be like, oh, I was joking. Nah, nigga, you don't say no shit like that, fool. You don't even play like that. It's gonna get crazy because now you gonna have to have Diddy out his own mouth say, nah, I didn't take Ray J.
I know some funny shit when I see it. So you telling me that FBI Deputy Director Dan Bongino is just stepping down from his position for no reason? This man is the acting director of the FBI. What has he seen? What rubbed this man the wrong way that made him say, you know what? I don't want this position anymore. And to add insult to injury, they're just playing it like, my question is this. He's going back to this podcast. What is Dan Bongino going to talk about when he gets back to this podcast? Because having a position like that, he had to sign some sort of non-disclosure agreement. What I say is this: that's a hard job to have. There comes a lot of pressure with it. And maybe Dan was asked to do something. Well, maybe Dan couldn't do the job they wanted him to do. Y'all better pay attention. I'm out.
What do you think? Why is he stepping down? He was making some valid points though. He probably sound something, so even if he goes back to his podcast, he can't never talk about it because that's a really high security job. Lots of secrets going around, a lot of information regular people can't have. Some theories, man, churning in my head, bro.
If the world went to nuclear warfare, the world basically would be destroyed in like 7 minutes. Wow.
Wow. You know what I'm more scared of than being blown up by a bomb?
What?
Surviving.
Surviving said bomb.
And living through nuclear winter.
I'd rather be like than like outside of the blast zone.
Well, you remember the story? You ever heard the story about Jim Carrey when he was in Hawaii? They had the alarm codes went off, like the texts and stuff, that said basically you have 11 minutes. There's a nuclear bomb headed toward Hawaii. Take cover. It's gone. Like Hawaii is gonna be gone off the map.
Take cover.
Yeah, like do whatever you have to do. Say, and so I think he called his like manager that was like there in Hawaii, and he just put his phone down and he just sat on the beach and he just waited. And he said there was like this peace and joy that came over him. That has not left him.
I guess my question is, what movie did he do after that? I feel like that would just really impact me and change.
It was Sonic the Hedgehog. he was like, you know what? It's time to start making movies that matter.
Gordon Ramsay just posted a cryptic message to his socials that's a little concerning. Geoguessers like Rainbolt have all but confirmed that the view outside of his window is a runway right beside Area 51, with flight attendant Leisha even mentioning she was on that same flight with Gordon himself, which landed in the middle of the desert in Nevada, exactly where Area 51 is supposed to be. But I noticed a little something that no one else brought up. By now, everyone's seen this weird little pan sitting in his cup holder. And it's tiny, way too small to be used by any regular human, so what is this for? I zoomed in closer, applied some light filters, and noticed a pattern of hexagons all over it. I mean, clearly this is just his cookware brand, Hexclad, right? But oh, it goes much deeper than that. Because I came across this leaked classified document featuring the exact same hexagonal pattern, which also claims we never made this technology. We recovered it from UFOs, non-human metallics. This all came out in 2016. Coincidentally, the same year Hexclad introduced this technology to the world. Whatever's going on here, the questions still stand. Who or what is this tiny pan for, and has Gordon really been working with classified alien technology this entire time?
I'm gonna say no, but I don't think Gordon Ramsay went to Area 51, bro. I still remember that whole trend when people said it was gonna like Naruto run storm the freaking Area 51, bro. You knew that was not about to go down, bro. I don't think we're ever gonna find out in our lifetime, man, what's in Area 51.
Was used a Mandela effect to sell their pizza.
This is Domino's new stuffed crust pizza.
We asked people who said they've had Domino's stuffed crust pizza before to compare it to our new stuffed crust.
That's better than the one they have currently. Do you remember Domino's stuffed crust? Yeah, that's Little Caesars, no? No, it's like every single pizza place. Yeah, I know. Except Domino's. So the commercial is like, you remember getting the Domino's stuffed crust, right? Oh yeah, I love Domino's stuffed crust. Yeah. That's one of my favorites. They open the box. Oh, go ahead, take a slice. Yeah. The box is empty. Like, huh?
That's the Domino's stuffed crust you said you've had before.
What is going on?
Domino's has never made a stuffed crust pizza before.
Really?
Are you serious?
Oh, we're serious.
Oh,
we never had that shit for some. And he goes, but we do now. What? Domino's stuffed crust out right now.
This 3-year-old boy fell into a gorilla enclosure at a zoo. In 1996, a 3-year-old boy slipped through a barrier at the Brookfield Zoo in Illinois and plunged 20 feet into the gorilla enclosure, suffering a broken hand and a deep gash to his face. As he lay unconscious on the concrete floor, 7 gorillas were roaming the habitat, any one of them capable of seriously harming him. But instead, something extraordinary happened. A female gorilla named Binti, who was carrying her own 17-month-old baby on her back, approached the child gently. Instead of aggression, she showed calm, almost human-like concern. Binti carefully lifted the boy, cradling him in her arms and shooting him from the other gorillas. Then, in a stunning act of understanding, she carried him to the door used by zookeepers and waited, watching over him until staff could safely retrieve him. The child spent 4 days in the hospital recovering, but he survived, thanks almost entirely to Binti's protective instincts. Her actions made international headlines, and the gorilla received worldwide praise, gifts, and recognition.
The theory that Mary Poppins and It are the same kind of creature. Both characters follow the exact same rule. They only come out every few decades. They arrive when children are vulnerable. They shapeshift, they float, they break all sorts of laws of physics. And they both kind of feed on emotions if you really think about it. Like Pennywise devours fear, and Mary Poppins feeds on imagination and joy. And the wildest part is that they both come back when the wind changes. It's literally the same trigger. Stephen King's universe, Pennywise is referred to as a glamour, which is an interdimensional creature that disguises itself to manipulate kids. And that's when people notice that Mary Poppins does the same exact thing, except it has this like wholesome disguise to it. She shows up out of the sky, she knows everything about these kids and the family instantly, bends reality, controls the environment, and she even has that creepy calm smile when she watches chaos unfold around her. Some people even say that the chalk walk sequence, the talking animals, the time jump, those aren't imagination. Those are different dimensions that she's pulling the children into. So yeah, Mary Poppins might not be a nanny. She might be Pennywise's sweet little cousin. And when you watch the movie from that lens, it low-key becomes a horror film. Let me know what you think and follow for more freaky.
You know, there's a theory that said that showering is actually bad for you.
No, I don't.
Even celebrities like Brad Pitt, Mila Kunis, Shia LaBeouf, and Johnny Depp, they don't shower every day because they feel it's actually bad for their skin. So, you know, everybody showers. Like research has shown that everyone showers at least once a day, and sometimes even twice a day. But what if I told you that showering is actually bad for you? According to dermatologist Dr. Zeichner, found that showering with hot water actually removes a lot of good bacteria on your body, and good bacteria actually help prevent disease and infection. And it's also found that hot water will dry out our bodies, and it creates little cracks in our skin that leads to infection in our body. And it's found that showering every day can actually lead to rashes, allergies, and eczema. And get this, even Dr. George Moncrief has not showered in 20 years with soap because he said the ingredients that are used in soaps actually do more damage to our skin than help us. So some doctors say that showering once every 2 to 3 days is okay.
Secrets, bro. Who started this? I remember, like, I have all these freaking celebrities coming out saying that they don't shower, bro. People was like, yeah, I do the same thing too, bro. Come on, man. Please don't be like one of them, bro. Hop in that shower, bro. It's not gonna hurt you. Trust me.
Son of a bitch. Oh, we got your ass. We've got your ass now. So this is why we took away all the bells before we were gonna find out. Reptilian. I'm a slew of reptilian. How many have I slewed? More than 1 million. You see, the giant bells could not only emit healing frequencies, but could also produce specific vibrations that would repel demonic beings and counter the shape-shifting abilities of the reptilians. Oh, you son of a bitch. So you see, there is power in sound. There is power in frequency and vibration. This is why they don't want you to know anything. This is why they don't want you to play instruments. So I want everybody to put this on their to-do list. I want you to go out there and search for as many bells as you can find. And if you can't find any bells, I want you to find out how to make them and who's making them. Bully Slayers assemble. Bully Slaying business. Join me on the front line.
On those bells, bro.
What the fuck is that?
It's a UFO, bro.
What the fuck is that?
Oh, these oars, man. We're always catching them, bro. It looked like a teleporter for a minute, man.
Are they moving? Oh my gosh, that's a grid.
That's a dome.
Anything like that in my life? Oh, it's gone. Just like that.
Might take Air 51, bro. My best guess.
Because I can't see it. Oh, there he is. Oh my gosh, the aliens have attacked. What is that? What is this ring? thing is just floating in the sky. This is some crazy stuff. What is going on?
Dark Ring Theory?
Girl, and it's just sitting there.
That's right. Isn't it weird?
Oh my gosh. Look at that.
Hold on, y'all. Why is the Persian Gulf River in Iran turning crimson blood red? Am I tripping? Or didn't we already see this, y'all?
We did.
I could have sworn this happened last year and the year before. Am I tripping? Like, I could have sworn I've already seen something like this, but the people in the comments are acting like this is brand new. Like they have never seen this before, and they're saying Jesus is coming and all this type of stuff. Get ready. And then they're talking about the new moon, and even people in Iran are acting like this is brand new. So now I gotta ask this question. Are we in some kind of time loop? Like, for real, do you think social media is playing a part in looping this over and over again, like Groundhog Day? So what if social media just don't show reality? What if it helps reset it? What if social media helps us stay in a specific mindset? Isn't that the reason why it's called an experiment, and the big people are watching what's happening to us and what we're doing, and they're collecting information from us, y'all? This is crazy. But yeah, y'all, I could have sworn this thing already happened. Let me know that in the comments below, y'all. Am I tripping, or is everybody else tripping? But nonetheless, y'all, this is crazy. Let's get it. Peace in.
Things happening in the world right now. A court in India ruled that movie theater chains must compensate customers for mental agony caused by too many advertisements. A couple casually bragged about illegal hunting mid-flight while wildlife officers were sitting right behind them. A Chinese company told employees to get married or get fired, then backtracked after backlash. There is now a trend in India where call center agents are having their accents digitally altered using AI. A truck driver was stopped for a random inspection and found with $1.1 million in cash and 183 pounds of weed. A woman is divorcing her husband because he booed Taylor Swift during the Super Bowl. A Georgia woman gave birth to the wrong baby after a fertility clinic implanted another couple's embryo. A Diddy-themed parade float appeared at Mardi Gras, and no one knows who made it. A woman who was missing for 3 years was found inside of a fertilizer tank. The world's tallest and fastest roller coaster that was in New Jersey has been dismantled after 20 years. A woman locked her boyfriend in a storage unit for 4 days with no food or water until he found his phone. A teenager injected butterfly remains and died from suspected toxins. 4 sober drivers were arrested for DUI by ex-police in Tennessee. A new study shows that Labradors and humans share the same genetic drive to overeat. The Molly Malone statue in Ireland is going to be raised higher in order to stop the constant groping. Serial killer Hannibal the Cannibal, what a name, is on a hunger strike after his PlayStation was banned in prison.
Here's some of the greatest conspiracy theories of all time. Part 5. Many families have come to know and love the movie WALL-E, the adorable robot that goes on an adventure through space. Many times throughout the film, it is made clear that WALL-E stores spare parts to fix himself. It's assumed that he takes them from the deactivated WALL-Es since they no longer need them. But how exactly did they deactivate if they are made to roam the planet forever? This theory states that the other robots kept stealing WALL-E's collection of items because they were still in their default programming, much like when WALL-E was reset and did the same. WALL-E eventually got sick of it and broke all of the other robots in various ways, such as crushing them with trash cubes and taking their parts for salvage.
Not him destroying WALL-E for us, man. That was a classic, bro. You found out WALL-E went mad and took out all the other WALL-Es? It's a pretty dark conspiracy, man. Any truth to that? He's asking some important questions.
Facts that I wish I didn't know. When you die, the last thing to go is your hearing. So as all your other mortal sensations are leaving this world, the last thing you're ever going to experience are the sounds going on around you, which very well could be like your family members crying or cheering. By the year 2050, there's going to be more plastic in the ocean than fish. When pigs get a cold, like a cough, very often they will shoot their intestines out of their anus, and farmers have to, like, stuff it back in.
That's very weird.
How rare is your body? First, only 11% of people have naturally curly hair. So if you fall into any of these groups, consider yourself rare. Now, comment on which ones you have. Second, less than 3% of people have an X on their palms, which is considered a sign of strong character. Third, only about 33% of people can actually whistle, and unfortunately, I'm not one of them. Fourth, 14% of people don't have a palmaris longus muscle. This is the muscle that stands out when you flex your hand like this. Fifth, only 16% of people can produce a high-pitched noise with their jaw. They can control a muscle that most people can't, and it creates a loud sound. Sixth, 33% of people have astigmatism. This makes lights appear blurry and distorted, like in this photo. Seventh, less than 6% of people can vibrate their eyes and shake them rapidly back and forth. And do you have any of these characteristics? Or do you know someone who has any? And which of these characteristics do you think is the rarest?
Disturbing brain facts you didn't know about. The brain will protect itself even if it means misery to you or death. Inhaling smoke in the middle of a burning house. Brain will make you stop breathing and pass out. Stuck in the middle of a cold place. You will fall asleep to conserve energy and never wake up again. Have your leg torn off by a bear. Here's adrenaline. So you can save your brain even if there's a huge risk of infection or further injury. You and your brain work together most of the time, but when push comes to shove, you are sacrificed.
The brain is out for itself.
This man followed a teen and her grandmother who were on a trail, and then he took their lives. In 2021, 17-year-old Hera and her grandmother, 78-year-old Sanetta, were found deceased in their home in Largo, Florida. Earlier that day, Hera and her grandmother went on a walk on the Pinellas Trail not too far from their house. On their way home, 19-year-old Sage Curry followed them to their house. He waited for the sun to go down before entering their home through the bedroom window. Sage then went into the kitchen and looked for the sharpest knife he could find and used that to attack the grandmother as she slept. Hera ran into the room after hearing her grandmother scream, and she was also stabbed to death. What's insane is that there was no relationship between the victims and Sage. He literally did this for absolutely no reason. His family said that his mental health declined after his 18th birthday and he became delusional, so much that he couldn't tell fiction from reality and believed that TV shows he watched were real. While he sat in jail, he got this moon tattooed on his forehead, which referenced a TV show character who had DID. Sage also got one of the victims' names tattooed on his ankle. In court, he really tried to use the insanity defense, but that was rejected. Sage was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole.
Now this is crazy. In the Philippines today, they have just raised the minimum age of sexual consent from 12 years old to 16 to protect children against abuse and exploitation. Now I had no idea that the age of consent even went that low, so I googled which countries have the highest and lowest age of consent around the world. Now the highest age of consent in the world is 21 in Bahrain, which if you didn't know is a Middle Eastern country next to Qatar. The second highest age of consent is 20 years old in South Korea, while the majority of other countries seem to have an age of consent between 16 and 18. Now the youngest age of consent is 11 years old in Nigeria. The second lowest age of consent is 12 in Angola, obviously previously the Philippines, and then 13 years old in Burkina Faso, Comoros, Niger, and Japan.
There need to be flight logs on people who try to go there.
They don't really know what to do with their trunk or what it's for. So if you see a baby elephant swinging around like this, it's because it's not used to its trunk and it feels awkward. It takes years for them to figure out all the things they can do with their trunk, but until then, they helicopter their trunks around as they try to get used to their own body. Also, baby elephants will suck on their trunks almost the exact same way human babies suck their thumbs, because it reminds them of their mother and it provides them comfort when they're stressed. Because elephants are so smart and live for so long, they have one of the highest learning curves of any animal. Which means just like humans, baby elephants are helpless and rely on their mothers for basically everything. And they'll follow her around everywhere. Because of this, elephants spend more time with their mothers than basically any other non-human animal. And even though they can take care of themselves at the age of 5, some of these kids will stick around the mother for up to 16 years. Most baby elephants are naturally afraid of water and will go out of their way to avoid it. They only learn how to swim if the mother encourages it. For the baby, the love for its mother outweighs its fear of water, which makes it get in. But once the baby elephant goes swimming once, he's pretty much hooked for the rest of his life.
Let's see if you have phobia. There's 5 levels in this phobia test, going from easiest to most difficult. So if you're too scared to make it all the way to the end, then you probably have nyxophobia. Let's begin. How would walking into this dark room make you feel? What about going downstairs in the middle of the night and seeing this? Now for level 3, imagine looking through a door and seeing this staring back at you. Then imagine waking up in the middle of the night, looking outside your window and seeing this. We're getting to level 5, the most scary level. I'll also be showing you a video, so get ready.
I'm cool.
Let me know if you made it all the way to level 5. And which phobia I should do a test for next. Follow for more.
Here's what humans will be like in 1,000 years. In the future, nanobots or tiny robots will be subtly integrated into our bodies, enhancing our own abilities. We will no longer be limited by the bodies we're born in, and will truly become a mixture of biology and machine on the inside. With the increase in globalization, the 7,000 languages spoken around the world today will probably dip to below 100. Artificial selection may occur where humans will be able to modify their baby's genes before birth to eliminate any diseases they may carry. As well as moving out into space, we may also be able to conquer death by scanning our brains into computers. Now comment what superpower you would want. May have upset.
I think that's crossing the line, man. When you mess with genes and you putting artificial stuff in your body, bro. We already fighting AI now, man. We don't need to be putting that anywhere near us.
The Bush Bear community. So here's 10 positive facts about koalas. They're one of the best mothers in Australia because they'll carry their little Joey around everywhere for up to a year. And unlike kangaroos and quokkas, mother koalas don't abandon their baby to escape predators. Instead, they fight to the death to protect their Joey. Also, they're not baby-faced pushovers. They're vicious marsupials that can and will defend themselves. Some criminals broke into a zoo to steal and sell a koala for drug money and left with a crocodile because the only thing they took from the koala was a beating. Got checked so bad that they decided taking a whole crocodile would be easier. They have some of the strongest plot armor on the planet because even after everything I said about them, they're somehow not in danger, even after the fires. This plush toy just sits around doing the bare minimum while we have to work and pay taxes, so who's really the dumb one here? The name koala means no water because they get most of their moisture from the leaves they eat. They hardly ever have to drink. The antibiotic doxycycline allegedly has a 97% cure rate with koalas with chlamydia, meaning they might just make a comeback. Some koalas jump from tree to tree, and younger ones will practice their jumps between small forks and trees to build their confidence. They instinctively hug trees and people to stay cool, and I'll take back everything I ever said if I can be a koala's air conditioner.
Wholesome facts that'll make your day slightly better. Part 2. If you've already made it to the airport without dying, you shouldn't be nervous about flying because you've already made it through the deadliest part of plane travel. Whenever you pet an animal, it actually lowers your cortisol levels, which is the stress hormone. Side note, this may not work on electric eels, porcupines, or anything that could decimate you in 2 seconds. Because guinea pigs get lonely, it's actually illegal in Switzerland to own just one. You have to get at least 2 if you want to have any at all. Sometimes tarantulas will keep tiny frogs as pets. The frogs will eat small insects that would typically eat the tarantula eggs, and in exchange, the frog gets a pretty damn good bodyguard. Capybara Land is a place in Japan where you can quite literally hang out with capybaras and see them chilling in hot springs. If 99% of the world's population finds you unattractive, that would mean that 78 million people still find you attractive.
Something out there for you, man. You got a chance. Might tell you different.
You didn't know, part 178. After being removed from the body, a normal heart can continue to beat for around 60 seconds. A heart removed from a heavy cocaine user can continue to pulsate for up to 25 minutes. Once clinical symptoms appear, rabies is 100% fatal. Haj Mohammed Mesfuri was a Moroccan serial killer who murdered at least 36 women. Due to the heinous nature of his crimes, he was sentenced to immurement, sealed in an enclosed space until death.
Never knew that until today.
So more and more sightings of the Smiling Man have been reported recently. For those who don't know, the Smiling Man is a very tall, odd-looking man who wears this creepy grin and is often caught trying to steal children, as was the case with a young girl named Linda. Years ago, Linda lived in West Virginia, and one night she awoke to strange sounds in her bedroom. She rolled over to go back to sleep, but what she saw in her hallway was a tall, dark, shadowy figure. Linda closed her eyes in fear, and when she reopened them, he was standing right above her. She screamed and he disappeared, but recently there's been more reports of sightings. Legend has it, if you close your eyes at night and think the words smiling man, smiling man, smiling man over and over again, he'll appear. Would you try?
No! I'm like, no, you were spirits near
This
me.
is why you should never mess with your coach. Because when the students at this academy challenged their coach, claiming they could beat her in a backstroke swimming competition, she didn't just accept it, but gave them a full 5-second head start. Even though the students were already halfway across the pool, the coach finally jumped in and proved why she's the coach.
Oh, she smoked and she pulling a Michael
You
Phelps.
can clearly see from her smooth backstroke that she's not even giving it her 100%, but still outpacing them one by one with ease. She definitely deserves a like.
Yolanda Saldivar was denied parole, and I can't even begin to tell you how happy that makes me. It's been 30 years since this monster was convicted for Selena Quintanilla's murder. For those who may not know, Selena Quintanilla was an icon. She was beautiful, talented, and she was murdered at the age of 23 by Yolanda Saldivar. This tragedy happened in 1995. I was born in 96, so it's pretty crazy how almost 30 years has gone by and no one has forgotten. I don't think people will ever forget what Yolanda did. Even though she was denied parole this year, she's still eligible for parole in 2030, so let's hope that we have the same outcome. March 31st marks 30 years since Selena's death, and she would actually be 53 years old right now. And I know that if she was still here, she would be killing it.
It's not watching a horror movie trailer is the best thing you'll see all day.
He ain't messing with it. He just like me. He just like me. He don't mess with it, bro. You know.
She was cooked by her crush and was served with potatoes. This is the disturbing story of a beautiful young Russian girl by the name Katrina. She was into poem writing and heavy metal, but sadly in one of these concerts she met someone that would change her life. She met a 19-year-old man by the name of Maxon in one of these heavy metal concerts. She ended up liking him so much she started developing a crush. Her mother, on the other hand, got suspicious weird vibes from this person and didn't want her daughter to be near him. But of course, she brushed it off and she continued to talk to this person. One day she lied to her mother and said that she was gonna go stay over at a friend's house to study for a project. Her mother was hesitant, however she insisted and she was able to go. She ended up lying to her mother to go to Maxim's apartment and meet up with other friends. These three individuals referred to her as fresh meat. When she arrived there, they drowned her and started eating her. One of the roommates claimed to have heard noise, but didn't think much of it. When she came back from work the next day, her roommates served her some potatoes with beef. Of course, she didn't think anything suspicious because what? You know, they're her roommates. Little did she know that the beef, the meat, wasn't really animal meat. The meat belonged to Katrina, who they had chopped, dismembered, and eaten. They cooked her with onions and spices in the oven. When they were interrogated, they said they ate her because they were drunk and hungry. The people in the courtroom were horrified and disgusted by the crime scene photos. They were charged for the murder of Katrina. What do we think about this disturbing case?
This is crazy things happening in the world right now. In a groundbreaking ruling, the Supreme Court has officially classified all birds as government employees. Scientists just confirmed that clouds are actually floating lakes, but the government refuses to acknowledge them as national parks. The Sun filed for retirement last month, but after intense negotiations, executive astronomers locked in a blockbuster $5 billion-year contract extension, including no trade clauses and guaranteed daily appearances.
Really?
Oceanographers recently discovered that whales don't actually sing. They're just complaining about how cold the ocean is. New data suggests that oceans are getting saltier because they're growing increasingly bitter about human pollution. It was just discovered that Mars has been ignoring Earth's messages for years now and is waiting for us to take the hint. A new union has formed representing self-checkout machines, and they are now fighting for paid breaks. Neuroscientists confirmed that the human brain refuses to delete useless information, which is why people remember a jingle from 2005, but not where they put their keys. After decades of observation, researchers have now confirmed that dolphins are conducting deep-sea research, but refuse to share their findings with humans. Scientists have finally found the speed limit of the universe, but the number was so embarrassing that they refused to publish it. A shocking new study reveals that Mount Everest is actively trying to grow taller after learning it's not the biggest mountain in the solar system. The Eiffel Tower recently submitted an official request for a second identical tower because it's tired of carrying all of Paris's tourism on its back. Scientists are frustrated after a newly discovered element immediately disappeared the moment they tried to name it. In a bold new move, time zones are being replaced with vibe-based scheduling so people can just work when they feel like it.
You wish.
Matthew Scully Hicks and his partner Craig had a healthy, loving relationship, and soon after they got married, they decided they were ready to start a family. They worked with the courts to become approved as adopters, and they were just ready to open their hearts and homes to a new baby. This is when 10-month-old Elsie was placed into their care. About a month and a half into their care, problems started to arise. Matthew had took Elsie to her primary care doctor because of a leg injury that happened while Matthew was taking care of her. Matthew told the doctor 4 days prior that Elsie was pushing a baby walker when she leaned back, twisted her legs when she fell backwards. Her injury was consistent with the fall, so no concerns were raised. However, as the months passed, Elsie would continue to have more injuries with new stories for every one of them. Social workers continued to check in on her family, and even though Elsie was having these injuries, it seemed like she was being well cared for. On May 25th of 2016, around 6 p.m., Matthew was changing Elsie's diaper. He then put her into a onesie and laid her back on the floor while he went to the other room to throw away the diaper. Matthew stated that Elsie was happy and calm, but once he went back to the room where she was unresponsive. She was laying on her back on the floor with her eyes open, staring blankly. She was not breathing, and she was still. When first responders arrived to the scene, they took her to the hospital, and unfortunately, they took her off life support, and she passed away. At this point, Elsie's family had no idea what had happened or what caused her to decline so rapidly. Doctors had found extensive bleeding between the layers of her brain and her skull. She also suffered damage to her retina and optic nerve, and also had small fractures on her ribs. The medical examiner determined that this injury was consistent with a shaking type of injury. It seemed like someone had picked up Elsie very forcefully, which caused her ribs to fracture. It seemed like she was shaken repeatedly and her head was hit against a hard surface. Matthew's husband Craig was taken in for questioning, and he told them that he was working full-time and he would be away from the home for 2 to 3 days, and at that time Matthew was the one taking care of her. He told them that on that day Matthew had called in hysterically crying, told him what had just happened, and he felt like there was no reason to question Matthew about it. He said that Matthew was a very caring and loving person, and he would never raise his voice and just didn't seem like the aggressive type. Police ended up speaking to Matthew and Craig's neighbors, and they did state that when one of them would go to work, the other one would stay home with Elsie, and that oftentimes they would hear Matthew yelling at baby Elsie, telling her to shut up, and he would slam the doors, and they would hear plates crashing, and he just seemed very aggressive. As part of the investigation, officers looked through Matthew's phone and they saw a text message to a friend that he told them that he was going through hell with Elsie and that meal times were the worst. She was always crying for like 10 minutes straight. There was also another text message, and this was to Craig, and Matthew told Craig that Elsie was Satan in baby form. Almost a year and a half later, after Elsie's death, Matthew had stood trial for her murder. This entire time, Matthew had denied hurting Elsie, and he claimed that it was just an accident. Eventually, Matthew was found guilty, and he was given a life sentence with the possibility of being released after 18 years. During the trial, Matthew was pretty much emotionless and showed no remorse. The only time that he broke down was when he was given his conviction.
Gas towns and cities set up. This might actually be a fake town / city set up by the elite. Why would there be cars parked at the gas pump and they have dust on them? So they've been there a while and nobody's around. As always, thank you for watching. Let me know what you think in the comments. Stay weird.
You shouldn't go through life any longer without knowing this. There was a 9-foot great white shark back in 2003 that was tagged by scientists just a couple of months after after this, the tag was found by a beach 2.5 miles from where the shark was originally tagged. When they pulled the data from the tag, it showed that the great white abruptly dove to depths of 2,000 feet and lower, which means something else swallowed that 9-foot shark whole and went down to the bottom of the ocean. There was a man who hired his neighbor to impregnate his wife and then sued him after 72 failed attempts.
He paid $2,500 for his neighbor. Okay.
Tom Cruise has been blacklisted from buying a Bugatti. He's actually apparently been banned since 2006 because on the red carpet, he struggled to open the passenger side door in front of cameras, and that moment was everywhere. So now he's on a do not sell list for the entire company. That's kind of hilarious. Chris Hansen was on a podcast a couple of months ago and was asked the question, have you ever caught a female predator? And he said never.
Hey everybody, so we've got airports shutting down, pilots reporting mysterious glowing objects and radar signals vanishing into thin air. This is all happening in Turkey. They've been experiencing some bizarre UAP encounters lately. So check this out. Flights at Sabiha Gökçen Airport, sorry if I butchered that, in Istanbul were disrupted due to pilots reporting unidentified objects on their radar systems. These anomalies even triggered collision avoidance warnings, prompting extensive but inconclusive searches by authorities. Also, in a separate incident, a pilot near Gaziantep Airport, again, sorry if I butchered it, spotted a bright glowing object in the sky that wasn't visible on the radar. This sighting led to a temporary shutdown of the whole airport and a massive search operation, but the object vanished without a trace. So, while some are speculating these events obviously could be due to drone activity or atmospheric phenomena, no definitive explanations have been provided as of yet, and authorities continue to investigate to ensure aviation safety. Stay tuned for any updates. If I get some, I'll let you know.
So some problems going on around the Turkey airport. I've been seeing a lot more UAP videos, man, on TikTok, bro. So I don't know what it's about 2025, man. We see a whole lot of alien activity there, bro. Or if they unconfirmed it, man. We're going to dive deep into that rabbit hole one day. We got lizard people and the catacombs? Of course it's the Matrix. Just being blind to it. The underground cities now too? Or is that connected to the catacombs?
Okay, everybody's noticing that 3I Atlas, the new interstellar comet, it doesn't have a tail. There is a reason, and here's why. So between October 1st and the 7th, the European Space Agency, which is the footage you're seeing here, its ExoMars and Mars Express orbiters tracked it from about 30 million kilometers away. That fuzzy glow that you see, that's the coma, which is gas and dust boiling off the object's icy surface. But there's no visible tail, obviously, at least in a traditional sense, because it's still too far from the sun for solar radiation to push out material off the comet. As 3I Atlas moves closer to the sun, and it's supposed to hit its nearest point on October 29th, heat and solar wind should technically ignite a full tail, which they're saying will stretch millions of kilometers, which is crazy. If the nucleus survives that close pass, then we'll finally see that whole thing light up. 3I Atlas is only the third interstellar comet that's ever been found, and it might be older than our solar system itself, which is mind-blowing. And here's a fun little tidbit. Even capturing this faint blur was like spotting a phone on the moon. That's how dim it was. So anyway, the next time someone asks, why does this 3I Atlas not have a tail like a traditional comet, tell them it's still waking up. But when it does, we might be watching history form in real time. So it's technically still sleeping, but it's going to wake up.
When was the last time you saw Miley Cyrus? Why do I ask? Because she was featured in a Gucci ad, and she is now completely unrecognizable.
Another one?
If you haven't seen the photo, take a look at this. Who is that in the Gucci ad? Does that look like Miley Cyrus to you? This is not the Miley Cyrus I remember seeing on TV. Do you? What is going on with Miley Cyrus? This is the Miley Cyrus I'm used to seeing, and I'm sure many of you are. Take a look at this side by side. That's the Gucci ad. That's Miley Cyrus. What is going on with Miley Cyrus? So the question needs to be asked. Has Hollywood claimed another celebrity? This is the Miley Cyrus we're all used to seeing. So my question to you is, who is this Miley Cyrus? As I always say in all of my videos, I understand that people age and people can change.
Yeah.
But what is going on with Miley Cyrus? So I guess my question to you is, has Hollywood claimed another celebrity? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and as always, I'd love to hear from you.
New York is facing a serious problem right now. This year, the city has seen a very concerning rise in real-life subway surfing. You heard that right. In fact, just this past weekend, 2 teenage girls were found dead on top of a train at the Marcy Avenue station in Brooklyn. They were only 12 and 13 years old. Problem is, this isn't even the first time this has happened recently. 5 people have died this year alone as a result of similar incidents across the city. And while this has been around for decades, real-life subway surfing has far transcended just being a dangerous game or stunt, because now it's become one of the most deadly social media trends online. In fact, this video is allegedly of one of the girls just days before she died filming one of her stunts. And not only that, but according to New York officials, over 1,800 subway surfing videos have had to be removed from social media in just the first half of 2025. It's even reached the point where police are now deploying drones to try and spot these surfers before they get hurt. Thankfully, this has already led to over 200 rescues. But the question is, how do you even stop something like this before even more lives are taken?
Kris Jenner
has
reversed her aging process, y'all. Make sure you like and share. Look how she looked, y'all. She reversed her aging. Most likely she went under the knife, right? She showed no scars of it. You know what they be doing in Hollywood, though. I can't say too much. When is the last time she had a baby? How old is her oldest? No babies around, right? Y'all, she literally looked like she about 28, 30. And I'm just trying to figure out how. I need y'all to leave y'all thoughts in the comments on what do you think is really going on? What do you notice? This shit is crazy, fool. This is 2007. This is 2025. She really is pulling off the Benjamin Button. Fool, that don't even look like the same person. I'm not even gonna capture you. How do we know these the same people? Do we? Nigga, that's a miracle, fool. Like, even the chest area is different. I understand you can get makeovers on the face. But the chest? What? I need answers. Somebody let me know in the comments.
This world is officially cooked. They're saying that men don't need women to have babies anymore. You ain't just hear what I just said, right? They're saying that they made a way for a man not to need a woman to have a baby anymore. And you don't believe me, right? Look at this shit. Listen to this shit right here.
A baby without a woman's DNA. American scientists have created
What are y'all doing?
human embryos by putting DNA from skin into a donor egg. This new egg has just 23 chromosomes from the skin
What are y'all
cell,
doing?
and that can be fertilized by IVF with the 22 chromosomes from the sperm, making a full set.
A lot of y'all gonna jump on here and say the world is just advancing. I'ma say technology keeps finding a way to play with God. Mind you, scientists know, and they said already that this is unethical. And the embryos that they're making, they're destroying. So what are you doing? If you're destroying embryos, isn't the embryos that you destroy a life? So now I gotta ask myself, what's the end goal? Now ask yourself, is this a good thing or a bad thing? And then after you ask yourself that, ask yourself what would Jesus do? We're in a world where man continues to test his limits. You're not satisfied with anything that you've been blessed with. You have scientists trying to put our consciousness into robots so we can live forever. If we were supposed to live forever, don't you think God would have made that possible? Y'all keep playing. Keep playing, and you're going to find yourself in a wonderful space that you don't want to be in. I'm out.
Hold on, y'all.
Keep pushing the limit.
Of the 4 horses of the apocalypse a little concerning. Let's just go through them real quick. We have the white horse. There's the white horse who goes out conquering and to conquer. He has a crown on his head and he has a bow. There's the red horse, and he is coming to take peace from the earth with a sword, and it will be great violence and bloodshed and war. There's a black horse that symbolizes famine and hardship and economic collapse, and he carries a scale. Then there's the pale horse, which is a little green, that symbolizes death, and Hades follows behind it. They're given authority to kill through sword, pestilence, and all these different famines all over the earth. Now, did y'all notice something?
You know what else is under the authority of the crown?
What?
Disney World in Orlando, Florida.
What does that mean? How?
Ron DeSantis was trying to take away their self-governing, because Disney has always been like a self-governing entity within Florida, so they don't pay taxes, the taxes that major businesses and do stuff in Florida do. Like, they started getting into politics. Disney was like, if you're going to get into politics, let's get into politics. But Ron DeSantis lost that battle because it came out that Disney's like, hey, why don't you just read this piece of paper that we have? It says, we are under the Royal Family Clause, which basically means Disney World within Florida is technically owned by the royal family of England.
How?
I don't know how that works either.
I don't know how they did it. They did some sort of exchange. I tried to do a ton of research.
Did they fund it?
They would have had to have given the land to the crown, and now it's protected.
Yeah, they basically said the U.S. cannot tax what is the royal families.
Why? Why do they own U.S. land? Get out of here!
Yeah.
Come on!
Baseball.
That's kind of crazy to think about. I'm gonna have to do some research on that, man. The royal family owns Disney World or Disneyland in Florida? That sounds like cap, bro. But if they do, that's some interesting rabbit hole that I need to go down.
So, the origins might be demonic. How?
What? Throwing it and hitting a bat?
Everything about baseball is very related to the Freemasons. The diamond they play on is in what shape? It's in the same shape of the compass in the Freemason logo. Now, back this, what is the degree of that angle in that diamond? What is it? 33 degrees. Why? Because 33 is the highest level you can go in Freemasonry. Remember? The MLB baseball bats, they're 33 inches in length and 33 ounces in weight. Yes, also, the threads on the baseball itself, there's 33 on each line. Theory was they made it as homage to the Freemasons or whatever ritualistic things they want to get into. What's being talked about right now is how every sport references what god or what deity. What? Remember we were talking about the cowhead is named ball. Baseball. Yo, think about that. Baseball. Basketball. It might actually be something more than we think.
AI just perfected animation. Now animation studios have finally responded to Sora V2. So people have been using Sora V2 to make new episodes of animation shows, as well as being able to blend real life and animation shows together, as well as shows with two different animation styles, such as Hood SpongeBob, real life Gaku getting arrested. Somebody even made their own version of the show, Attack of the Titans, a realistic Michael Jackson stealing fried chicken. And for those who don't know, Michael Jackson is not alive anymore, yet these videos look more realer than real life. But this is where it gets so much more worse. A lot of people love this because they're able to make their own version of their most favorite shows, where if you make it yourself, it can take literally minutes to do versus studios take over years, because a lot of people love AI art. However, now even more insaner, animation studios have finally clapped back to this, as Sora V2 has been using copyrighted characters such as SpongeBob and One Punch Man, and it's very odd that although no studio has made a public statement on this issue yet, as OpenAI has now given studios the option to opt out of their copyrighted image use. Do we need more AI laws?
I think there's something in the water, or there's something going on in the air right now, y'all. Because these type of videos I'm coming across where people are walking and running on all fours like it's normal are insane, y'all. And there is, it's like, what universe am I in? Y'all, there's even a Guinness Book of World Record for this now, man. A Japanese man ran 100 meters on all fours in under 15 seconds. Look at this man getting it on all fours in under 15 seconds, y'all. He was so happy. What the hell? You think I'm playing? This man right here specifically has been training his body for this. For the past 300 days, he has been going under an intense regimen
blood, sweat, and tears just for this moment so he could run on all fours, y'all. Check this out.
This is day 300 of walking on all fours every day. Heat was definitely a factor today, but since it's the last episode of season 10, I wanted to get outside and do something fun. I started off with some laps, and I still can't believe how much more smooth this looks and feels. I think I'm really starting to get the hang of it. I've been preparing to transition from running to all fours, so I gave that a try. The preparation I've done seems to have paid off because it went surprisingly well. It's crazy to think that in 2 more months I'll have been doing this for over a year.
Bro, this dude literally runs like Nightcrawler. Have y'all ever seen Nightcrawler on X-Men? That's exactly how he runs. And it doesn't stop there, y'all. There is a man who fully transitioned himself into a Dalmatian because his partner or his wife or his girlfriend lost her Dalmatian. This man bought a full synthetic suit. Now he's living the full life of a Dalmatian. This is crazy, y'all. Let's continue to get...
The most disturbing cults in history, part 1. These are the Anthill Kids, founded by this man, Roch Theriault, in Quebec, Canada. These events took place throughout the 70s and 80s. Using his excellent charismatic skills, he actually convinced a group of people to quit their jobs and follow him, promising unity and equality. He forbid them contact with their family and moved them out to the mountains. He called it Eternal Mountain. In 1978, he prepared for doomsday, having his followers build a town that could save them. He relaxed while they worked and compared them to ants on an anthill. To gain more followers and keep them devoted, he impregnated all female members. They were also forced to wear the same outfit, promoting equality.
What? Manipulators,
Creepy
man.
urban legends
Dangerous.
from each country, part 4.
Mexico. La Lorena. La Lorena is the ghost of a woman who drowned her own children in a river, only to be condemned in the afterlife to search for their bodies. As the story goes, great misfortune comes to those who go near her or hear her frightening cries.
La Lorena. Updating
It's
the
the
lore.
stupidest things bought by billionaires. Saudi Prince Waleed purchased a Mercedes completely made out of diamonds. It reportedly costs $48 million, and rumors have said that he charges people $1,000 to just touch it. Mukesh Ambani decided he wanted a personal skyscraper, so spent $2 billion constructing one. He has hired more than 600 people just to take care of the building's upkeep. Sheikh Ahmed wanted to make sure everyone knew this was his private island. That's why he decided to etch his name so large that it could be seen from space. Crazy things happen.
Man, when people have too much money like that, man, that's the definition of too much money. A freaking all diamond BMW. Does that thing even drive? Like, what's the point? And $1,000 just to touch it? Hell no. And have your own personal skyscraper. That's the one that freaking is the most, man, where he initiated and put his name's initials in the country and the island, bro. That's the definition of too much money, man. That's actually really wild to think about, man.
Happening in the world right now.
What would you do if you had that much money?
In Washington, D.C. this summer melted off the head of a wax replica of Abraham Lincoln. The state of Vermont paid this man $175,000 after arresting him for flipping off the state trooper. Ron DeSantis signed a bill making it legal to end the lives of crack bears in self-defense. DeSantis also signed a bill in Florida that makes it illegal to intentionally release balloons. NASA ran an experiment that even if we had 14 years in advance to stop an asteroid, we wouldn't be able to do it. A man wrongly identified his wife in an autopsy, had her cremated, and then found out that she was alive. A naked bike ride was organized in San Antonio, and no one showed up. Justin Timberlake and Tiger Woods are opening a sports bar together. A French cyclist was fined after stopping to kiss his wife. A woman is suing the company that she's worked for 20 years for having no work. It was recently found that Americans are taking less vacation than every other country.
This is how healthy
Trying to
your
get that
eyes
bag.
actually are. I'm about to test you to tell you how healthy your eyes actually are.
Okay.
All you have to do is pick one out of the 10 colors that...
Damn it. The one that stood out to me was 7, man, because that was the bright color blue. I think I got some healthy eyes, though, Seekers.
Which animal is most likely to have you knocking on heaven's door depends on your states. And this is part 2, by the way, because I missed the last states. Florida, you've got mosquitoes who want to send you straight to God. In Illinois, zombie coyotes are not going to let you finish your bucket list. In Wisconsin, you've got deer, and I also made up a little rhyme for you guys. You'll always remember to stay the fact away from deer. If you see a deer, grab a beer because your end is almost near. Missouri, you've got the slithery serpents from hell, venomous snakes. Vermont, not a fucking clue. And I looked it up, even the CDC don't know what y'all chilling with over there. Next up, South Carolina. Apparently this is Satan's country home because all it says for this state is large mammals. Apparently you all got elk, coyotes, badgers, deer, porcupines, and bison all ready to test your life insurance. New York, you're up next. And man's best friend, now man's fatal foe isn't just a cool title for a movie. Finally, Tennessee, you've got brown recluse spiders. Apparently one bite from these isn't necessarily fatal. Multiple bites will send you straight to the gulag. So Tennessee, ciao! If I missed your state in this one of the last, let me know. Send this to anyone you know in any of these states so that they know to stay safe. All with me now. Elon!
What state are you guys in, man? I want to know, man, because I've been seeing, I know we have seekers all around, so. And was y'all state mentioned on that list, man, of those, I guess, animals that try to send you to the afterlife, bro?
Have you ever thought about why mobile gaming sucks? First, most games are free, but you have to watch an ad every 5 seconds of playing the game, which completely ruins it. Second, most free games require in-app purchases to actually get anything done within the game. And third, they all require you to be on Wi-Fi or your cellular data, so you can't even play them everywhere. That's why I want to introduce Aquarium Crush. This game is 100% free with no ads or in-app purchases, and you can play without Wi-Fi or cellular data. I really don't know how they do it, but the goal of the game is to get your fish as big as you possibly can without getting eaten. And trust me, it's not as easy as it looks.
Damn.
These puzzles are unlike any I've seen in other games and is genuinely the perfect way to kill some time. So if you want a game that gives you everything it promises, go to my page and download it right here. That really
Amazing things you have never seen before. This man was walking in his yard and the ground started moving. This isn't fried chicken, it's actually a crystal. This is what the top of Mount Everest looks like. It was so cold that this person's food froze midair.
What?
This is what a cat's tongue looks like under a microscope. It looks like a bunch of smaller tongues. And I bet you've never seen a brick road machine. I always thought people did it.
These are things that over time got too expensive. Number one is fast food. I remember when a McChicken was just $1. Number two, streaming services. A, there's too many, and B, they're getting too pricey. Airbnb, it's probably cheaper these days to get a hotel room. Number four, snacks. An entire bag of chips is like $6. Number five, concerts. It's actually insane how much ticket prices have gone up. Number six, fixing things. Like if your toaster breaks, it's probably cheaper to buy a new one. Number seven, haircuts. I know mine don't look good, but this was $50. Number 8, coffee. It is not uncommon to spend $80 a week. Number 9, theme parks or fairs. You're gonna spend $200. Number 10, restaurants. Aside from tipping 20%, this is still a lot more than it used to be. Number 11, buying a new car. Back in the day, it was way different. Number 12, going to the movies. Tickets ain't bad, but a soda and popcorn, $15. Number 14, going to any professional sports game. Might as well stay home. And lastly, boxed cereal. It might sound absurd, but $8 for Cocoa Puffs is crazy.
Facts that will mess with your perception of time.
He's spitting, bro.
Mean Girls is more of a classic movie today than The Breakfast Club was when Mean Girls was originally released. Rebecca Black has doubled in age since Friday was released in 2011. This is what AI video looked like just 1 year ago. And this is what AI video looks like now. Clint Eastwood's parents would not have been able to celebrate the birth of their son with a can of beer. That's because Clint Eastwood was born in 1930 and canned beer wasn't even a thing until 1935. This is Nancy Pelosi attending JFK's inauguration in 1961 as a 20-year-old. We know of bowhead whales that have lived for more than 200 years. So any bowheads that managed to live through the golden age of American whaling in the 19th century could still be swimming in the ocean today. When novels became popular in the 1700s, the media thought that young people were reading too much. They were calling it the reading rage, the reading fever, and the reading mania. The oldest currently working train engine in the world was built when slavery was still legal in the United States.
Here's how to actually lucid dream. Lucid dreaming is when you become aware that you're in a dream, and this means you can now control everything. It's very fun. So here's the technique called MILD. It stands for Mnemonic Induction to Lucid Dreaming. It's the method that works for me. As you are falling asleep, repeat the phrase in your head, I will control my dream. I will control my dream. I will control my dream. By repeating this mantra, you're encouraging your brain to be aware when you begin dreaming, and therefore, you should lucid dream.
Hey man, to be able to control your dreams, that's actually next level, man. I remember sometimes, man, just throughout the day, I'm like, did I dream that, bro? And it seems like it was so real, but to be actually to be actually control your dreams, man, like control your actions and where the dream goes, I'm definitely gonna have to try that Seekers, man. Lucid dreaming. Have any of you guys tried that before? If you do, I would love to hear your stories. That's the edit.
These are some truly unsettling facts. And I found all these on Reddit. Number 1, the world's loneliest whale. There's a whale that resides deep in the ocean that has been singing a song for years, but no other whales can understand it. The reason is because this whale's voice is so deep that it's too low for any other whale to hear. And he's been calling out trying to find a mate or a family member for years now, but nobody can hear him or find him. So he's been swimming deep in the ocean by himself for so long. And it's because of this that scientists have called him the world's loneliest whale. Number 2, Abraham Lincoln. Now, we all know Abraham Lincoln. He was like our 15th or 16th president or something like that, had a crazy beard, and he was assassinated. But this is a very unsettling fact about him. The 3 days leading up to the fateful night where Abraham Lincoln would be assassinated, Lincoln had had nightmares detailing his assassination. And we know this because his bodyguard, who was named Crook, actually detailed this entire thing. Lincoln had told Crook about all these nightmares, and Crook begged him not to go to the theater. And all that Lincoln said in return was, "Goodbye, Crook." And he left. And the reason why this was weird was because Crook said every single time that Abe had left, he would always say good night, not goodbye. But he could tell that Abe knew this would be the last time they saw each other. And finally, emergency broadcast. Now, we all know what an emergency broadcast is, but in the event of the world ending, CNN has a pre-recorded emergency broadcast from the 1990s that would kind of be like a farewell to everyone. They have this ready to play just in case that fateful day comes, and that to me is truly horrifying, which is why it's perfect for today's video.
Urban legends from around the world. La Ciguapa, located in the Dominican Republic. Here's the story. Said to be a hypnotic mythical creature in the form of a woman. Said to have long hair that covers her whole body, and the most interesting part is that she has backwards feet. Said to dwell in forests and the Highland Mountains. She lures unsuspecting men in, and they are never seen again. The first claim of this creature actually dates back all the way to 1866. Which country is next?
Facts about money that will blow your
story.
mind. You are more likely to die in a car accident on your way to buy a lottery ticket than you are winning the lottery. LeBron James will make about 3 times more money with his NBA salary than all 151 WNBA players combined. The mascot for the Denver Nuggets basketball team will also make about 3 times more money than the highest paid WNBA player. George Clooney once paid 14 of his closest friends $1 million as a surprise gift with one condition. They all had to take it or none of them got it. If you started with 1 penny and doubled your money every single day, it would take you less than 28 days to become a millionaire. A lawyer made a deal with a 90-year-old woman that said if he paid her rent every single month, he would keep the apartment after she died. He died 1 year before she did, over 30 years later. The lawyer ended up paying $180,000 for an apartment that he never lived in. Follow for more.
That was the deal of a lifetime.
The most terrifying prisoners of all time. Known as one of Australia's most dangerous and violent female prisoners, this is Rebecca Butterfield. She was initially sent to Silverwater Prison for stabbing her neighbor, and that is where things got worse. Way worse. And who was also a fellow inmate 33 times with a carving knife. The prison murder landed her another 12 years, and another 5 was added on as she was deemed too dangerous for society. During one violent episode, she said, "If I get out, I will kill again." Butterfield has attacked prison nurses and doctors, throwing boiling tea and water on guards and other inmates, and even lunged towards guards, saying she was trying to take their guns. As of January 2021, she is to remain behind bars until 2023.
Menace to society, like I said, too
This is the how long you survive in the wild vision test. Oh, and spoiler alert, we haven't got a chance. Okay, here's the first one. I'm going to say this one's pretty easy. And let me just say, every single animal that are in all of these photos could easily subtract you from the equation that is life if they wanted to, and then proceed to sleep like a baby afterwards. Okay, next up, I'd say this one's pretty average. This one did drive me fucking insane, and we're only on the second one, so good luck. Don't worry if you can't see it, because I can assure you, it sees you. The worst part is once you see it and know exactly what animal it is, then you can pretty much guarantee that there are more around. Since I couldn't see this one, I would not survive in the wild, I'd get clapped. Okay, next up I'm going to put this one in the hard category. I mean, I'll give you a clue since we're looking at the ground, you probably know we're looking for something small. But still not small enough that it couldn't send you to the next realm before you have a chance to say, oh, there it is. Okay, this one's difficult and I am sorry for this one. And if you don't want to be put on the front of a newspaper, you really need to find it. However, finding it will not make it any better because you'll realize it's looking directly into your soul. Because these animals typically like to stare at what they want to take for themselves. And finally, we have insane, and this is just cruel. And I'm not trolling for views, it's there. Now send this video to a friend to see how many they could see.
Seekers, could you guys see any of those animals you was talking about?
It features countries in every continent. North America, United States. Europe, Liechtenstein. Asia, Qatar. Oceania, Australia. South America, Chile. Africa, Nigeria.
That doesn't shock me at all. The top countries, man. Maybe except for Chile. I wasn't expecting that one.
You just watched Into the Fire, The Lost Daughter. You need to watch this documentary next. It's very similar. In 1987, 15-year-old Jennifer Pandos went missing from her own bedroom. Since parents is going to relentlessly attempt to get this case closed. This documentary is really good, and if you liked Into the Fire, you're going to love this one. Let me know what you think about this in the comments.
Urban legends from every state. The legend of Charlie No Face, located in various parts of Pennsylvania. Here's the story. Also known as the Green Man, Charlie No Face was a real person. His name is Raymond Robinson, and he has quite a tragic tale. The legend was told as a man with no face would stalk people at night. The real story is when he was 8 years old, he was climbing up an electrical pole and got shocked, surviving but terribly burning his face and arms. He actually walked at night to avoid being ridiculed or scaring people. People were assholes. And as far as people calling him the Green Man, some say that it was just his clothes reflecting the lights off the cars. People who knew him said he was a hell of a nice guy, just a man forced into isolation by society.
That's so sad, man. Had a Shoreline night just so he wouldn't scare
anybody. This Las Vegas man allegedly beat a customer severely for breaking the nacho cheese machine, because people will fight over anything these days. To top this all off, this dude works at the gas station too. His name is Myron Bully. He will now be charged for attempted murder. This happened early in the morning on September 3rd, about 2 weeks ago. The victim was bleeding from all over his face, and the police had to transport him to a hospital to get treated for skull fractures. He also had multiple brain bleeds on top of that, so he definitely got beat pretty severely here. There was a witness here who was pumping gas and asked Myron, because Myron is an attendant, if he was going to call 911 for the victim. He responded by saying, "I'm not going to call 911 from him, I hope he learned his lesson." The victim got nachos, and apparently Myron thought he was putting too much cheese on it, and then the machine malfunctioned, then he kicked him out of the store. The guy tried to come back for his nachos, and Myron greeted him with a baseball bat. He was swinging at the victim pretty hard. Witnesses said he couldn't get up for several minutes. Myron said if I hit him hard, his brains would have been smashed. So Myron has absolutely no remorse for this. His bail is set at $10,000. I'm not sure what kind of sentence he's going to get. My guess is like 10 to 15 years. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Seriously, if you did...
People will literally fight over the most dumbest things, man. Really over some nacho cheese. Because he was pouring too much, that justified their actions. I'm telling you, man, the world... People just have to be nicer to each other, man. That doesn't make no sense. That was some damn nacho cheese, really.
You know what's going on over in America right now, you need to watch this video. So the other day, of course, there was the presidential debate, and of course there was one major point that everybody's talking about now. Social media going crazy with already this sound being made, and hundreds, thousands of people making videos. But it's been like 2 days and there's already 26,500 videos.
Eat the cat, eat the cat, they're eating the dogs, they're eating the cats.
This all came from this one video that this guy just remixed it, and people are nuts. Meanwhile though, in Ohio, this happened yesterday, like what the hell? The cops found this 27-year-old woman with blood and fur around her mouth, leaning and kneeling over a deceased cat, which she reportedly had eaten. Seriously, what's going on? What is going on? Make sure that follow button and I'll keep you updated.
I missed some as well.
Best friends killed an abusive husband together. Marianne and Wanda were the best of friends, like, all through their high school days. They were both members of the 4-H club, both active in the FFA, and after graduation, Marianne went out and she was looking for a bright new world, and Wanda looked all around her hometown and all she found was Earl. And y'all, it wasn't 2 weeks after she got married that Wanda started getting abused. She started wearing dark sunglasses, long sleeve blouses, makeup to cover her bruises. But she finally got the nerve to file for divorce, and she let the law take it from there. But Earl walked right through that restraining order and put her in intensive care. Right away, Marianne flew in from Atlanta on a red-eye midnight flight, and she held Wanda's hand, and they worked out a plan, and it didn't take them long to decide that Earl had to die. And y'all, they killed Earl together. They were mocking him and laughing at him as he was dying. They were saying things like, "What? What's wrong with those black-eyed peas? They tasted all right to me. Oh, what's the matter? You feeling weak? Why don't you lay down and sleep, Earl? Oh, ain't it dark, all wrapped up in that tarp?" It was sadistic, it was twisted, and they took a lot of pleasure in bringing an end to Earl. And now the cops came by to bring Earl in. They searched their house high and low. They tipped their hats and they said, "Thank you, ladies. If you hear from him, let us know, okay?" But the weeks went by, spring turned to summer, summer turned into fall, and turns out Earl was a missing person that nobody missed at all. So girls bought some land and a roadside stand out there on Highway 109, and they sell Tennessee ham, strawberry jam, and they don't lose any sleep at night because Earl had to die. Matter of fact, they held onto his body for a while and they stuffed him in the trunk. They actually took his body to the lake. They had a picnic lunch. I mean, what they did to this guy was absolutely outrageous, but truth is, Earl had to die. Y'all, I hope you enjoyed the story today. My name is Jordan Rayner. I'm a recording artist trying to get a record deal. Hit follow, help me get to 1 million. And also, I've got a brand new EP called Revolver that just dropped on Spotify, Apple Music, iTunes. It's freaking amazing. Please go give it a spin. Cheers. Goodbye.
Did they ever get caught? Common sense, but for some reason I never thought about it. This is how long fire hydrants actually are under the surface. I don't even know if I needed to know. I also just found out that there is a lake in Denmark that is shaped like a map of the world that's been handcrafted by one man for the last 25 years. Michael Jackson was 25 years, 4 months, and 29 days old when his hair caught fire while filming a Pepsi commercial. He died exactly 25 years, 4 months, and 29 days later, making that the moment as the exact midpoint of his life. The world's only blue McDonald's exists just because yellow signs are banned in Sedona, Arizona. Since 1980, California has built 22 prisons, but only 1 university. Sweden is apparently so good at waste management that it imports waste from other countries just to keep its plants running. Over 80% of the world has never been on an airplane. There is a man who visited every country on Earth without ever getting on an airplane, and it took him 10 years to do it.
Facts that will make you think. Whoa. There are some castles that are worth less than New York apartments. The Earth is around this many years old. There's literally a chance that we live in a simulation. Around 10% of people still can't read or write.
What you're looking at is not cute at all. In fact, you should scroll if you're not trying to cry. That's a gibbon. If you haven't seen him, you for sure heard him. Gibbons are the closest to past tense primates in the world, thanks to a wombo combo of poaching, pets, and property development. That last part is crucial because this branch warrior travels through trees. Knocking them down is like taking out the interstate, and it can cut them off from the rest of their family. Arms long, but ain't nothing humorous. So a lot of these knuckle draggers end up getting habituated to humans and seeing people as family. That's what happened with Kalia. Kalia is a western Hulak gibbon in India who lost her entire family, and she adopted the people around her, especially Ningda, the man that saved her. That's not him, by the way. I couldn't find pictures of him. Gibbons are social animals and groom each other. Not the Minecraft way, but salon service each other. So Kalia would climb down from the trees and groom the people on the ground. Actually, she didn't stop at people, and they just accepted it. Mind you, this was a wild gibbon. This wasn't a trick. It was a choice, and spend enough time here and she'll check you too. Or at least she would. Yeah, I ain't gonna lie. You should have scrolled. Too late now. You're invested. Apparently, some kid taunted Kalia with a slingshot, and revenge was a gibbon. And a gibbon. Kalia bit the boy, and in response, the boy's father pulled up with a shovel, and that was the end of Kalia the gibbon. Which broke the heart of Bhupeshwar Ningda, who basically looked after her in the 90s after she lost her mate and baby. Mind you, it's believed there's only hundreds of them left in the world. There's the context you didn't ask for. The more you know.
The two brothers who took their parents' lives 35 years ago may now have an opportunity to be released this year. In 1989, Eric and Lyle Menendez took their parents' lives, Jose and Kitty Menendez, inside their home in Beverly Hills. The brothers were convicted of first-degree murder and were given life sentences without the possibility of parole. But the thing that has a lot of people questioning whether this was fair or not is the amount of evidence they have against their father showing that he essayed them growing up. Their father, who was an executive in the entertainment industry, had a lot of power, and Eric and Lyle were terrified of him. They were essayed by their father from a very young age until they were teenagers, and they even told their mother, but nothing was ever done. After taking their parents' lives out of fear, new evidence was revealed that their father also drugged and Ard, a 13-year-old boy named Roy Rosello, who was part of a popular Puerto Rican singing group called Menudo at the time. What I find so surprising about this is the amount of support Eric and Lyle have received from family members on both sides who truly believe them and are calling for justice. But on the other hand, there seems to be a conflict of interest. An attorney named Kathy Cady was just appointed to be the new director of the Bureau of Victim Services, which makes no sense because she's also the lawyer for the only family member of the Menendez brothers who strongly believes that Eric and Lyle should stay in prison for the rest of their lives. Many people believe that the brothers were not given a fair chance during their trial and deserve to be resentenced, which could now potentially happen at a hearing on March 20th. If you guys want to support Eric and Lyle's resentencing, you can share this post with the hashtag Justice for Eric and Lyle or email the DA through the website's form and tell them you support resentencing.
Did I get denied? I think it got denied because it would have been trending if they were free. That case, man. Twists and turns.
Cum-filled cupcakes were served to children by this teacher in Louisiana. Meet Cynthia Perkins, and let me warn you, this story is incredibly disturbing. So back in 2019, investigators were tipped off about this woman, Cynthia, and her husband, Dennis. Apparently, some images had surfaced depicting the couple graping a child. And when investigators finally swept in October of 2019 and arrested the couple, what they found out was disturbing. Cynthia, who at the time of her arrest was a middle school English teacher, had allegedly gotten a sperm sample from her husband, baked that sperm into some cupcakes, and brought the cupcakes into her classroom, where she then served those baked goods to her own students. When the police raided the couple's home, they found hidden cameras in the bathrooms and in the attic, and they uncovered a lot of evidence that the couple had been producing child pornography, with a victim under the age of 13 years old. Cynthia at first was unrepentant and tried to pin this all on her husband, but shortly after they were arrested, she divorced her husband and admitted that she had, yes, taken part in this entire thing, and just last year she was sentenced to over 40 years of prison time. Now, her husband Dennis was actually a sheriff's deputy, and in a completely unrelated case, another woman was found guilty of helping Dennis grape, a woman who was completely unconscious. And yes, they filmed the attack. So these two were serial predators and offenders. And this story just goes to show that these people don't look evil. Predators come in all shapes and sizes, even teachers.
Jalissa, hi. Can you tell me what's happening there? Yes, I just killed my daughter. How old is your daughter? 3. Is there anyone else in the house? God. And how did you kill your daughter? I tried strangling her. That didn't work, so I stabbed her with a knife in the neck and chest. And what area of the house is she in? She's on the floor in the living room. Do you still have the knife? I do. Is it in your hand? No.
He made tacos out of her
Chili.
Alvaro and Maria had been married for about a year and were living in Mexico. Although they didn't have children together, Maria was a mother to 5 children from a previous marriage. Alvaro wasn't the best husband as he had an addiction to substances, and he was very violent towards Maria's children and would even spy on them when they were taking a shower. On June 29th of 2023, Alvaro was under the influence when he took Maria's life. He dismembered her body and placed it in a plastic bag. Some of Maria's body parts were left at the home while others were left at a ravine. Alvaro ate part of Maria's brain in tacos and used her shattered skull as an ashtray. 2 days after he did this, he told Maria's daughter what he had did to her mom and to come collect her body parts. Maria's body was chopped up by using a machete, hammer, and a chisel. Once law enforcement was notified, they found a black magic altar during the investigation. Alvaro confessed everything and claimed that the devil made him do it. On July 2nd, Alvaro was arrested and he is currently awaiting trial.
On Tuesday, the judge asked Diddy how he's doing and his position on taking the stand himself. This was the first time Diddy was heard speaking in court. His exchange with the judge has been voiced by an actor.
I'm doing great, Your Honor. I've been wanting to tell you thank you. You're doing an excellent job.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
The judge questioned Diddy on whether or not he has fully discussed with his attorneys the decision not to take the stand. Diddy replied emphatically that he has thoroughly spoken to his team about it. The judge wanted to confirm that Diddy understood that this decision was his and his alone, and to that Diddy responded, quote, "Yes, my decision, I'm making it."
Just to recap for a second on the original charges against Diddy, he was charged with 1 count of racketeering conspiracy, 2 charges of sex trafficking, and 2 charges of transportation to engage in prostitution. And he's obviously pleaded not guilty to all charges.
I heard like this week, then they said they dropped most of those major charges, right? People talking about he's about to be free.
Sports with the highest probability of death. Base jumping 1 in 2,300 people. Wingsuit flying 1 in 500 people. Cave diving 5 in 100 people. Extreme parkour 1 in 75 people. Free solo climbing 1 in 50 people.
I want to talk about one of the scariest ghost videos I've seen come out of a military base. So this is security footage from one of the gates at the Kadena Air Base in Okinawa, Japan. This is coming from a podcast episode I just did on one of the most haunted military bases in the entire world, but that gate has a very dark past. For context, Kadena Air Base is located in a particularly haunted part of Okinawa, Japan. Over 100,000 people died on the island in World War II, and most of them were innocent civilians. Fast forward to today, but people who work at the gates at Kadena Air Base say that they see people from World War II trying to get onto the base all the time, and it's usually in the dead of night. There's all these stories of men in like bomber jackets and olive trousers showing up to the gate past midnight, and when the guard turns back around to let them into the base, they're completely gone. And most people thought these were just legends, but then this video surfaced. In this video, 2 guards are watching the security footage at the gate while this shadow behind this sign here starts moving around. At first they think it's just a shadow, but then it like moves off screen in a weird way, and then it hangs out at the top of the screen for a while and then completely flies away. And you think people would be fast to point out like, oh, this is just a bug or something on the camera, but when you look at the comments, everyone is talking about all these horrible, terrifying experiences that they also had at Kadena. If you want to hear some of those experiences, as well as other ghost stories from Kadena and Okinawa in general, definitely check out this episode of the Heart Starts Pounding podcast, wherever you get your podcasts.
It would make sense, man. How that place would have some bad energy there. Like she said, it was during World War II, and it was all civilians. And we're literally seeing it 4K proof for ourselves, man. And comments down below, they green too, so I guess, man, I haven't been to Japan before, but we're gonna stay away from that area.
Craziest coincidences in history. On December 5th, 1664, a ship sank off the coast of Wales, UK. All 81 passengers on the ship lost their lives in the wreck, except for one survivor. His name was Hugh Williams. Then on December 5th, 1785, another ship sank in the same location. Everyone perished except for one man, once again named Hugh Williams. In 1820, yet another ship met the same fate in that very spot. Only one survivor emerged, and his name was, as you might have guessed, Hugh Williams. But the final part of this story will blow your mind. Another shipwreck occurred in that same area in 1889. Some sources reported that this final disaster took place on the 5th of December that year. However, the truth is that this shipwreck actually occurred on August 19, 1889. They likely reported December 5 to make this coincidence sound even scarier, but it is already terrifying enough as it is. That is because on August 19, 1889, a coal barge sank in that same location. But this time, there were 2 survivors. And if you are thinking one of them was named Hugh Williams, you are mistaken, because both of them were named Hugh Williams. Fourth more?
It's literally when I thought I've heard it all, I'm telling y'all, it's that one time I thought I've heard it all, and it's that one time I'm like, what in the world, y'all? This girl right here, her name is Katie, and she was adopted, and she wanted to figure out who her biological family was, right? That's kind of a normal thing for a lot of people who are adopted. So she goes on good old Facebook and figures out that this man right here is her biological father. Now, she goes on to find out that he's married and he has 2 children, I believe. And she connects with them. Now, she even ends up moving in with them and sleeping on the floor in their house, and finds out that him and his wife have an estranged relationship. Now, they end up, her and her biological father, end up having a sexual relationship with one another. and getting married. This is their wedding photo right here. But they didn't disclose to anybody that they were actual biological father and daughter. They even ended up having a child together. They had a little baby boy together, y'all. And eventually, she ends up wanting to end this situation, and she gives him the ring. He goes absolutely crazy and unalives this poor little baby, and then goes to her house where she's staying with her adoptive family, follows her where they're driving from too, and unalives her as well. This is really one of those cases, like I said, when I thought I heard it all, it's always that one case that really just floors me.
Morbid Facts, Part 568. In 1915, a strange illness called encephalitis lethargica broke out across the globe. Nicknamed the sleeping sickness, the disease attacked the patient's brains, leaving them frozen in a statue-like state, fully conscious but unable to move or speak. One of the most haunting aspects of this disease was its unpredictability. Some patients recovered quickly, never experiencing any long-term effects, while others went into a deep coma and never woke up. Then there were patients who seemed completely recovered, until years later when the illness came back and suddenly turned them catatonic. At least 500,000 people died from the terrifying disease before it vanished without explanation 10 years later, just as suddenly as it appeared. While many theories have been put forth over the last century, epidemiologists still remain haunted by the mysterious sickness and its unknown origins. Some say it never left, but still lingers in the shadows, waiting for the right moment to strike again.
Disturbing things found by YouTubers.
Weird.
In this 2021 YouTube video, this YouTuber and his friend are vlogging their camping experience in the countryside of Boxhole. Everything proceeds smoothly. They can be seen setting things up for the night, having dinner together, and finally, going to sleep each one on his truck. Suddenly, in the middle of the night, the YouTuber can be seen waking up terrified.
We hear that, right?
Things you won't believe are true. Sunflowers have been used to clean up radiation. One of the ingredients in dynamite is peanuts. Elephants can use their feet to hear via seismic waves. Octopuses have 9 brains and 3 hearts. And the human brain can't feel pain itself, it can only detect it.
Disturbing facts about the Wizard of Oz you'll regret knowing about. The snowstorm that took place in Poppy Field was actually asbestos. The Cowardly Lion costume was made of real lion skin and hair. The face mask that Ray Bolger wore for his Scarecrow costume was so heavy and tight that it nearly suffocated him. Judy Garland was on a strict diet of black coffee, chicken noodles, and cigarettes, and along with diet pills to reduce her appetite. Her mother introduced her to pep pills as a way to help her give an energetic performance.
Dang, man, that movie was cursed.
Have you ever wondered how rare your body is? If you have golden blood, you are one of 48 known humans on Earth. 1% of people carry a gene mutation that lets them sleep for 4 hours a night without feeling tired. I want to know when we can clone that, because that would be great to have, honestly. 0.1% of people are born with a tiny hole near their ear that has been said to possibly trace back to fish gills. 1 in 10,000 people have a second row of eyelashes that grows from their eyelid. 0.5% of people have an extra rib bone growing from their neck instead of their spine. 0.06% of humans have eyes with 2 completely different colors. Only 5% of the population in the world has amber colored eyes. 5% of people have extra taste buds that make bitterness and sweetness way more intense. Less than 1% of people have a gene mutation that makes their bones nearly unbreakable. Only 10% of people can voluntarily wiggle their ears. I definitely cannot do that. 35% of people never get at least one of their wisdom teeth, not even hidden under their gums.
Nobody knew who this man was, and nobody knows who he is till this day. All that we know is he erased his identity successfully. This man came in a taxi to a hotel in Northern Ireland from supposedly Austria. He had a fabricated identity. He went by the name of Peter Bergman, and his address was fake. It was somewhere in Austria. The hotel receptionist didn't really think anything of it. He had a thick German accent, and, he could pass for German. Now, he stayed at this hotel for 3 nights, and in those 3 nights, you can see him on the CCTV footage leaving 13 separate times. The weird thing about this, every time he left, he would take something out with him, like his bag or whatever, and he would come back with nothing left or nothing inside of it. Like, sometimes he would leave with a plastic bag filled with items, he would return, nothing in his hands. He had some weird behavior too. Apparently when they were trying to clean his room, they knocked, he wasn't there. Then they entered after a period of time, assuming he wasn't there. He didn't have the do not disturb on his door or anything. And when they broke into it, he looked very spooked, as if, they caught him in the middle of something he shouldn't be doing. The next day, he called a taxi to take him to a beach. He asked for beach recommendations at the front desk. He went to the beach, stood there for a few minutes, got back in the taxi, and then went back to the hotel. A little strange, but okay. The next day and the third day, he checked out of the hotel. He had his 3 bags on him, a luggage, a crossbody bag, and then a purple plastic bag. Except the luggage, the suitcase, wasn't the original one he walked in with. It was a completely different one. So what happened to his original one? They didn't catch him leaving with it or anything. It was also never recovered, too. He left with 3 things, the luggage, the paper bag, and then the crossbody bag, whatever it was. And when he got to the bus stop, just a few minutes ahead, he only had 2 of those 3 items on him now. What happened to the third thing? His body was discovered the next day at 6:45 a.m. by a father and son practicing for a triathlon. His luggage and shoulder bag were never recovered. He had random belongings scattered on the shore. He apparently was washed up. However, that's not how he died. An autopsy report revealed a cardiac event. So he had a heart attack and then died. An autopsy was done. They found multiple cancers. He had prostate cancer, bone cancer, and ischemic heart disease. A 5-month investigation was launched to find out who this man was, and despite efforts, nobody ever concluded who exactly he was. What's even sadder, the medical examiner even said, with all these, cancers and the ischemic heart disease, this man was in constant pain all the time. It's likely he was just sick of it and, he was just taking a trip. He knew the end was near. He's now buried in an unmarked grave in Sligo, Ireland. It's not clear how he arrived in Northern Ireland, where his journey began, or where it really ended. Many people thought foul play was involved, but foul play was not involved. Others claim he knew the end was near and he wanted to make peace and just end it here. That's why he had these odd things, going to the beach on the taxi, doing everything else. But nothing is concluded yet. That's just the assumption right now. Will we ever know the bottom of this case? Probably not. Let me know your thoughts in the comments.
On the evening of how did he just disappear his whole identity like that? Even 5 months later, they couldn't track it down. Track his true identity down. Let's do that.
Thursday, May 21st, 2015, a 16-year-old girl named Lily walked into the home gym inside of her house in Hong Kong looking to do a workout. As soon as she walked in, she saw her dad was in there, and he was doing some sort of cool-down exercise on a yoga ball. So Lily's dad, whose name was Ka Kim Sun, was a doctor, and normally at this time of the day, she would never see him in the gym. He was typically locked upstairs in his study, so for him to be here, it just didn't really line up with his schedule. And so Lily asked her dad, what are you doing here? What's going on? And her dad would tell her, well, actually, work at the hospital was really slow today, so I took off. I'm just doing some cool down exercises because I got nothing else to do, but I'll be out of your hair in a second. The next day, May 22nd, around 1 o'clock, normally Lily would be at school, but she had had the day off that day, and she had wanted to spend her day off seeing friends, but her dad was really focused on her being successful academically, and he told her, you were going to stay home and you were going to study all day long. You will not leave the house. That's what you're doing. Lily's mom looked over at her and said, I'm not going to make you study all day. Come on, let's go out and have a mother-daughter shopping day. About 2 hours later, around 4:15 p.m., a local jogger noticed there was this yellow Mini Cooper car sitting on the side of the road, not moving, but it was still on. And so the jogger was curious, and so they ran past and made a point to look inside the car, and they saw 2 women in the front 2 seats of this car slumped over. The 2 women were Lily and her mother. Police were called. They dragged Lily and her mother out of the car. They were totally unresponsive. They were rushed to the hospital, but it was too late. They both died. The police would begin their investigation into their deaths by searching the yellow Mini Cooper car. And when they searched it, there really was nothing of note inside of it. For the next 6 months, the police tirelessly looked for some lead as to what happened to this mother and daughter. And so right as this case appeared like it was about to go cold, the detectives decided to just go back to the Mini Cooper and see if maybe, just maybe, they missed something. And sure enough, they had. It would turn out on May 22nd, 2015, the day that Lily and her mother died, Lily's father had told Lily to stay home and study, not because he cared about her academics. Instead, he wanted her to stay home all day to protect her. When police originally searched Lily's mom's car, they found the 2 women's purses and also some basic exercise equipment in the trunk, specifically a deflated yoga ball. It would turn out the yoga ball did have something to do with it. 2 days before the women were found dead, that yoga ball was inside of Lily's home. Ka Kim Sun had taken that yoga ball to the hospital where he worked and filled it with carbon monoxide, an odorless, colorless, poisonous gas. And his plan was to put the yoga ball in his wife's car, unplug it, and then when his wife got in the car and shut the door, she would effectively suffocate and die. He didn't try to kill his daughter though. Ka Kim-sun was arrested and charged with 2 counts of murder. He was found guilty and sentenced to life in prison. He has never explained his motive.
Last week, a girl who was walking to school found a severed arm near a park, and over the course of a week, multiple other body parts have been found strewn across Babylon, New York. This case is honestly terrifying. So on February 29th, a girl found a severed left arm near a park in Babylon and called the police. When the Suffolk County Police Department arrived, they, along with cadaver dogs, then found a human leg in a pile of leaves nearby. After thoroughly searching the scene, they then found a right arm, a severed head, and many more body parts in the park. Authorities were able to confirm that the remains belong to a 53-year-old man and a 59-year-old woman, but their identities have not yet been released to the public. A week after this grisly discovery, more human remains were found in Bethpage State Park in Farmingdale, just a few miles away, and it was confirmed that the remains belong to the same victims. So far, human remains have been found in 3 different locations in Suffolk County, leaving behind a chilling mystery. Since the discovery, these 4 people have been arrested in connection to the crime. They are Stephen Brown, Jeffrey Mackey, Amanda Wallace, and Alexis Neves, and they all reportedly lived together at a home in Amityville. They have since been charged with hindering prosecution, tampering with physical evidence, and concealment of a human corpse. But here's the thing. They've all since been given supervised release, meaning they're all walking free in the public right now. Their release is based solely on the fact that at the moment they have not been charged with the killing of the 2 victims. So according to authorities, they're free to go until their next court appearance, or if new evidence is found where authorities are able to press additional charges. All 4 suspects are required to wear GPS monitoring bracelets and are ordered to stay in Suffolk County. The only thing is that they aren't allowed to return to their Amityville apartment due to inoperable plumbing, which was reportedly removed during the police investigation. It's insane to me that they've all been released because authorities searched their house and what they found is horrifying. Police found cutting tools, a meat cleaver, and traces of human remains, but according to police, that isn't enough evidence to prove who killed and dismembered the 2 victims and why. So far, a motive has not been released, but authorities are investigating the case as a possible love triangle. One of the suspects allegedly dismembered his girlfriend and a man that he believes she cheated with, but this has not been officially confirmed. It's just been reported by a source who claims to be familiar with the matter. As for the 2 victims, not a lot of information has been released about them, although police do believe that they may have lived together in Yonkers. But at this moment, their relationship to the suspects remains a mystery.
It's literally all been 4K.
Stop scrolling because this has to be one of the scariest skinwalker encounters ever. Reddit user NoPlan9840 said that when she was 16, she snuck out of her home at around 3 a.m. to go smoke in the woods in Lynn, Massachusetts. She said that it wasn't a huge section of woods, just a small reservation in the middle of the Boston suburbs. She got to the entrance of the trail, parked her car, and made her way to the campsites where there were fire pits available. As she stood there by the fire, she heard something on 4 legs come up behind her. She didn't sweat it much because she said that the worst thing it could be around there was a coyote. But then she heard it transition to 2 legs and walk with a bipedal gait. She said that everything went silent and all she could hear was the crackling of the campfire. She started to get concerned that something bad was about to happen. She thought that maybe it was a homeless man working up the courage to come up and ask her for money. So she called out, "Hello, is anyone there?" Silence still, for about a minute. She said that everything inside of her was telling her to run, but then she thought to herself that if it's an animal trying to hunt her, then she should stand her ground and make herself appear not worth the risk. Then, whatever it was talked. She said that it sounded almost like a parrot mimicking its owner's voice, and it asked to bum a light. It said, "Can I bum a light?" She said that at first she was relieved because at least she knew that it wasn't an animal, but the way it spoke was truly uncanny. She said, "Sure, but you have to come out where I can see you. You're giving me the creeps, dude." And then it asked again and again, 3 times. Then she said that she was really freaked out and she knew something was really wrong. She told it to go away and find someone else to ask if he was going to be creepy about it. Then it ran off on all 4s. You could hear all 4 feet hitting the ground as it ran away. The crickets came back, the night birds started chirping again, and the air even felt warmer. She said that a feeling of dread came over her and she knew that she had to book it. She calmly packed all her stuff up, put out the fire, and started to walk back to her car. She wanted to run, but she thought that maybe if she played it cool, whatever it was would back off. She finally saw her car about 200 feet ahead of her and began to calm down. She felt secure enough to look behind her, and sure enough, about 40 feet behind her was a male deer standing on its hind legs in the middle of the trail. She said that at this point she lost all composure and freaked out. She ran as fast as she could to her car and pulled out of the parking lot before she could even turn her headlights on.
So he experienced a...
I believe that Skinwalker story, man. We're hearing clips about it. But the way she described it, man, said it was a deer, ran away on all fours.
break-in, which must have obviously been terrifying, but he killed the intruder, and then instead of ringing the police, he decided to live with his mummified corpse for 15 years. It was 2017 in Sydney, Australia. Bruce Roberts lived alone in the area, and he was pretty well known for being a prolific hoarder. However, nobody had any idea of the disturbing possession he was keeping in his home. Neighbors, as I said, described Bruce as reclusive. He very much kept himself to himself. He was kind of one of those people that was very socially awkward. He would rather just stay in the house rather than socialize with people. And even if anybody wanted to be nosy about what was going on inside Bruce's home, they really wouldn't be able to. His home was so full of junk you couldn't even see inside of the windows. But neighbors did tend to keep a bit of an eye on Bruce and just make sure that he was, still alive. And when locals hadn't seen or heard from Bruce for a while, they asked police to do a welfare check. Police did do this. They showed up and entered the house, and tragically, they found what neighbors were fearing. Bruce was deceased inside his home from natural causes. But obviously, when they went in, there was a smell. The state of the home was absolutely shocking. They had no idea that the state of the home was actually concealing a second body. As I said, there was this death smell, but they pretty much put that down to Bruce being found dead there and just the general mess and uncleanness of this house. It wasn't until a staggering nearly 2 years later that they found body number 2. Cleaners had started the huge process of deep cleaning this property in order to sell it now that Bruce had passed away. They were prepping this home for sale when they found the body of 39-year-old Shane Snellman. Now, Shane was a local known criminal. He'd been released from jail in 2002, and shortly after this had seemingly broken into Bruce's home in an effort to rob him for substance money. But this break-in went completely wrong for Shane when Bruce ended up hearing him breaking into his house and shooting him. Then, instead of telling the police, he decided to just hide the dead body in a rug, and he kept it in his spare bedroom for 15 years. Needless to say, the smell was absolutely unbelievable. There was evidence of over 70 air freshener cans that he'd had to buy over the years to try and conceal the smell of rotting flesh.
Damn, 15 years, bro? He was that big of a hoarder, man. But the police they didn't even know.
Barry Morphew has just been arrested and charged with the murder of his wife, Suzanne Morphew, 5 years after she disappeared. Here's all the background of Suzanne's case and what led up to his arrest, the second time he has been arrested in this case. On Mother's Day 2020, 49-year-old mother of 2, Suzanne Morphew, was reported missing. She disappeared from her home in the small town of Salida, Colorado, where she lived with her husband and 2 daughters. Her husband, Barry Morphew, was the last known person to see her alive. The day she was reported missing, he told police that she planned to go on a bike ride while he was out of town on a work trip. After she was reported missing, Suzanne's mountain bike and helmet were found in separate spots not far from her home. But investigators suspected that the bike had been purposefully thrown down into a ravine because there was no indications of a crash. After she went missing, Barry and her family were frantically searching for her, and Barry even posted a video on Facebook pleading for her safe return. And it seemed like he was extremely worried about his wife. Or at least that's how it seemed at first. In May 2021, a year after Suzanne disappeared and still no sign of where she was, Barry Morphew was charged with her murder. Despite the charges, he has always maintained his innocence. But reportedly, he said his wife insisted on leaving him and then later changed his statements as evidence developed. Morphew did not initially tell investigators that he went out of his way as he left for work on Mother's Day, driving toward the place where his wife's bicycle helmet was eventually found. Later, he said he went that way because he had seen an elk cross the road, and he is an avid hunter. But investigators also uncovered a screenshot of a text message from Suzanne on Barry's phone that said, "I'm done. I could care less what you're up to and have been for years. We just need to figure this out civilly." And this screenshot was from May 6th, just 4 days before Suzanne was reported missing. So he was facing charges and was about to go to trial, pleading not guilty, and right before he could, prosecutors dropped the case due to prosecutorial issues with evidence. Prosecutors repeatedly failed to follow rules for turning over evidence in Morphew's favor, including DNA from an unknown male that was found inside of Suzanne's SUV. A judge barred prosecutors from calling key witnesses because of this, so they had to drop the case. And at the time, prosecutors said that they wanted more time to find Suzanne's body. The judge agreed to drop the case against Barry Morphew, but allowed prosecutors the option of filing charges against him later. And the case went cold. After the charges against Morphew were dropped, he filed a $15 million lawsuit against county officials, accusing them of violating his constitutional rights. His lawyers also filed a complaint asking that the prosecutors be disciplined for allegedly intentionally withholding evidence. His daughters have stood by his side through this all, believing his innocence. And like I said, Suzanne's case went cold. No one knew where she was. But then, in 2023, a huge discovery was...
Facts that'll give you nightmares. Many doctors have said that the most common last words that they hear are, "I don't feel so good." Most of the laughing sound effects that you hear on TV shows were recorded in the 1950s, meaning that most of those people that you hear laughing are probably dead. During the French Revolution, it was said that the guillotine had to be used multiple times to get the job done. The reason why planes shut their lights off right before they land is so that the passengers' eyes can adjust to the dark just in case there's a crash. This is so that if the power goes off during the crash landing, they can better find an escape route.
This girl was born with two heads. Manar Magid was born in Egypt in 2004, but she wasn't born alone. Attached to her head was another head, a second skull, a face that could blink, smile, and move its lips, but had no body of its own. It was her twin, a parasitic twin, fused to her scalp and feeding off her bloodstream. The condition is called Craniohopicus parasiticus, and it's so rare that fewer than a dozen cases have ever been recorded in human history. The second head had no thoughts, no consciousness, but it moved, and it lived through her. Doctors feared that Manar wouldn't survive. The parasitic twin was draining her body's strength. Her organs overworked just to keep both heads alive. Every heartbeat, every breath, shared. In 2005, at just 10 months old, Manar underwent a high-risk surgery to remove the second head. The surgery was a success, and it was the first of its kind. And Manar lived. She opened her eyes, she smiled, but the victory was short. Just weeks after the surgery, she died of a brain infection. Her body simply couldn't keep up.
We have some crazy things happening in the world right now. Kim Jong-un watched as North Korea's newest warship literally fell off the dock. A man proposed to his girlfriend with a tornado swirling in the background. Nvidia is attempting to create an entire digital twin of the Earth. Rockstar changed the appearance of a character from the GTA 6 trailer after a Florida man claimed it was him and asked for money. AI can now guess passwords with 93% accuracy just by listening to the sounds of your keyboard keystrokes over Zoom. Can you guess that? Russian scientists thawed out 300 worms from Siberian permafrost, and 2 of them that are both over 30,000 years old came back to life. Don't think that's gonna end well for us. This is the world's last known white giraffe, and he is being tracked by a GPS after his female counterpart and calf were taken out by poachers.
Babies who were born on the literal perfect day. Back in 2019, a baby girl was born on July 11th, making the date 7/11. Well, the baby was also born at 7:11 p.m., and the baby also weighed 7 pounds and 11 ounces. From this, the convenience store 7-Eleven saw this and gave the baby $7,111, making this baby the most 7-Eleven baby in history. Next, in 2022, this baby girl was born at one of the craziest times possible because she was born on February 22nd, 2022, which is 2/22/2022. But she was also born at 2:22 a.m. and she weighed 7 pounds and 10 ounces, which makes her a total 122 total ounces. And I can't forget that she was born in room number 2 of the hospital. This is absolutely wild.
You know how all those things have to line up for something like that to happen? That's like truly rare.
These are 8 horrifying facts that will probably keep you up at night. Episode 20. Number 1. Coffin births. This is a rare phenomenon that is scientifically known as post-mortem fetal extrusion. It occurs when a pregnant woman dies and her body expels the fetus. The gases in the abdomen builds up and then forces the stillborn fetus out. Number 2. Jeannie, the feral child. Discovered in 1970, Jeannie was a girl who had been kept isolated by her family in Los Angeles for over a decade. She was almost entirely mute and had barely any exposure to human interaction or the outside world. Number 3. The Green Children of Woolpit. In the 12th century, 2 children with green-tinted skin appeared in the village of Woolpit in England. They spoke an unknown language and only ate raw beans. Eventually, their skin lost its green color and they adapted to normal food. The origin of these children still remains a mystery. Number 4. The Hinterkaifeck murders. In 1922, an entire family was mysteriously murdered at their farm in Germany. Reports found footsteps leading to their farm, but not away. This case was never solved. 6. The Devil's Kettle. In Minnesota, United States, there is a waterfall that splits into 2. One side flowing into a river and the other side vanishing into a hole. Scientists still don't know where that water goes. Number 7. NASA would never release information about asteroids approaching Earth. Not because they're worried about us freaking out. It's because we don't have the technology to detect if there are asteroids coming from very far away. Number 8. Human extinction. This is linked to number 7. We can't really confirm if any asteroids are coming to hit us because in 2017 an asteroid named AG-13 was about to hit Earth with less than the distance of the moon. The asteroid flew so fast, scientists were only able to see it 48 hours before it could have hit Earth. This is real information. Let me know if you want part 21.
First of all, these waves are screaming to you to not come in. And then to put your child in that situation and to record it.
This elephant killed a woman and crashed her funeral. In 2022, 70-year-old Maya Murmur was gathering water near her home in India. It was supposed to be a routine task, but that morning, a herd of wild elephants emerged from the nearby forest. Most villagers know to keep their distance. Maya tried to flee, but one elephant broke away from the group, chased her down, and trampled her with brutal force. She died at the scene. Her grieving family arranged a funeral later that day. As is custom, Maya's body was placed atop a wooden pyre for cremation, a solemn ritual under the open sky. But then, thunderous footsteps echoed in the distance. The same elephant had returned, and this time it brought reinforcements. A stampede of elephants crashed into the village mid-funeral, sending terrified relatives running for cover. In a scene that defied any logic, the very elephant that had killed Maya pulled her lifeless body from the pyre and trampled her a second time. Her remains were left mangled, and the ceremony was left in ruin. This elephant must have had some personal issues with Maya, and this death is just extremely unfortunate.
Inappropriate. I don't know what Maya did to the elephant, man, but that's insane. He literally came back to want to feed again, even though he already did it the first time, bro. That is extremely odd. I don't know what was going on with that elephant.
Children's books that actually exist, Part 2. The Loneliest Hoe in the World, written by Travis Heaton and published in 2002, this Christmas tale begins with Santa preparing to depart with his reindeer. He congratulates his elves on a job well done by sharing with them some elf juice, and then boards his sleigh until coming to the realization that he's forgotten his hose. Christmas isn't Christmas without hose, Santa proclaims. Ain't that the truth? You Can't Be an Astronaut is Just Not Realistic, written by Joseph Smets. This book is a 26-page story that documents a boy who meets astronauts and shares his dream of having their career in his future. They point blank tell him not to bother. They go further by telling him of the complicated prerequisites and the difficult trigonometry. And when the boy asks if he can be an astrologist instead, they tell him astrology is a joke of a career.
Let's see if you have submechanophobia. I'm going to show you 5 photos. Try your best to make it through all 5. Let's start the test.
Here we go.
First one. How does this make you feel?
I'm okay.
Hang on in there. The ocean is terrifying.
What is that?
Last one. So how did you do? Did you make it through all 5? If not, then you could have submechanophobia, which is the fear of submerged man-made objects. Let me know if you have submechanophobia in the comments below, and remember to hit the plus sign and follow me to see if you can make it through the next phobia test.
I'm good.
Disturbing history facts I wish I didn't know. Tarare, a Frenchman from the 1700s, ate extraordinarily large amount of food, including animals and allegedly a baby. He suffered from polyphagia and died at 26. In 1888, James Jameson, heir to the Jameson whiskey fortune, bought a 10-year-old girl to observe her being unalived and eaten by cannibals in Congo. In the 18th century, dentures were sometimes made from the teeth of dead soldiers, notably those from the Battle of Waterloo, and sold to the wealthy. A Colorado farmer's chicken named Mike lived for 18 months without a head becoming a sensation and touring the U.S. Ancient Romans used human urine as a teeth whitening and stain remover for clothes due to its ammonia content. Frederick Bauer, the inventor of the Pringles can, was so proud of his invention that his remains were buried in a Pringles can after his death in 2008.
My man was dedicated to his invention, bro. His remains
As
in a
we all
Pringles
know,
can.
there's been a new wave of conflict in the Middle East, where multiple air bases were under attack, including the one in Qatar. The United Arab Emirates strongly condemns the attack, considering it a blatant violation of the sovereignty of the state of Qatar and its airspace. The act is also a clear breach of international law and the United Nations Charter. To the citizens and residents in the UAE, kindly stay away from sharing content that are not from a reliable source. If you do, you must know, spreading misinformation contributes to panic, confusion, and societal division. In times like this, awareness is a responsibility. Let it be clear, we are not in danger. Circulating unverified videos only fuels panic, when in reality, the situation on our soil remains stable and secure. Again, we are not in danger. If you do come across any information or incidents that may affect public safety, do not hesitate to report them. Here are the official numbers for the concerned national security authorities. All reports are handled with complete confidentiality. Put your trust in your leaders. The UAE has always stood for peace and progress. We do not and will not involve ourselves in political conflicts. We choose evolution, not war. May Allah keep us safe, united, and guided by wisdom.
Morbid Facts, Part 310. On the day before 9/11, George Carlin recorded a live set in Las Vegas titled I Kinda Like It When a Lot of People Die, intended as the closing segment of his next special on HBO. But after the attacks the very next morning, the title suddenly felt incredibly disrespectful for obvious reasons. Carlin wisely shelved the material and renamed the special Complaints and Grievances. A few years later, he planned to revive the original title for a new special, only to scrap it once again following the devastation of Hurricane Katrina. In 1959, popular New York DJ Peter Tripp locked himself in a glass booth in Times Square and attempted to stay awake for more than 200 hours as part of a publicity stunt. But as the days passed, Tripp's mind began to unravel. He started hallucinating vividly, screaming that doctors were imposters, believing that people were trying to poison him, and insisting that the furniture was on fire. By the end of it, he had entered a full-on psychotic state. Though he eventually recovered enough to return to broadcasting, those close to him said he was never the same psychologically. His stunt became one of the earliest public examples of sleep deprivation's terrifying effects on the human brain.
It's possible that
That's
your
insane,
best
bro.
friend might not consider you their best friend. You're not as nice as you think you are. Like, you're most definitely the villain in somebody else's story. Finding love isn't guaranteed in this life, and it's quite possible that the person that you might fall in love with one day in the future is in love with somebody else right now.
That's a sad fact.
This is why you should never play hide and seek. A mom decided to play hide and seek with her 2 kids. The mom began counting, ready or not, here I come. She begins searching the downstairs kitchen because she knows that they hide there every single time. As she's walking to the kitchen, she starts saying, I wonder where they are. She looks under the table and sees they aren't there, which is kind of odd. She knew they were too scared to go into the basement alone, but she decided to check anyway. They weren't there either. She began to panic. The mom then says, Jordan, Casey, come out now, mommy's not playing anymore. There was no answer. Panic really begins to set in. She decides to call 911 and reaches an operator. She tells the operator what's wrong and the operator sends an officer to her house. Once the officer arrives, he says, don't worry, we will find them. As she's sitting in the living room, she hears giggling and laughing and hears a closet door slam upstairs. She sprints upstairs and says, Jordan, Casey, you worried me sick. She opened the closet door and nobody was there. While all of this is going on, she hears the doorbell ring. She runs downstairs and finds the officer holding Jordan and Casey. The officer says, they were hiding in the shed out back. Then Jordan looks at mommy and says, why were you telling us to stay in the shed?
3 normal things in one country but shocking to the rest of the world. Part 12. Number 3. In Germany, the deposit system for bottles and cans actively encourages recycling. When you buy a drink, you pay a small additional sum, called Pfand, which is refunded when you return the empty bottle or can to a collection point. This initiative, aimed at promoting recycling and reducing waste, allows consumers to earn a bit of money in return. Number 2. In Japan, the tradition of Valentine's Day is somewhat different from many other countries. On February 14th, it is usually the women who give chocolates to men, whether it's romantic love, work colleagues, or friends. Men are not supposed to give gifts on Valentine's Day. However, they have their turn a month later, on March 14th, during White Day, where they are expected to give a gift in return to those who gave them chocolates. Number 1. Public toilets in America are often surprising to foreigners due to the lack of privacy they offer. Stalls are designed with large gaps between the doors and frames, allowing a partial view inside. Additionally, the doors are usually shorter, sometimes exposing users' legs. While this design is typical in the US, it can shock those who are used to complete privacy in public toilets.
The hell? Got some weird toilet designs going on around the world.
Biblical places that still exist. Jordan River, where Jesus was baptized.
Wow.
The rock that
Beautiful.
Moses struck and water came out. Jesus' tomb.
I heard they try to read that. That ain't well.
River of Galilee that Jesus walked on. Red Sea that Moses split. Synagogue that Jesus went to.
Gotta preserve all those sites.
Garden of Gethsemane where Jesus was arrested.
Full bloom.
Place where Jesus healed the paralytic. Place where Jesus told Sermon on the Mount.
3 extremely disturbing facts you won't believe are actually true. Number 3. In a bizarre case, an Ohio man was mistakenly declared dead by the Social Security Administration in 1979. Upon discovering this error in 1994, he immediately initiated legal action to restore his status as a living person. However, a judge refused to overturn the decision, stating that there was a 3-year limit to challenge such a declaration. As a result, this man is legally living as a deceased person in his own country. Number 2. There's a disturbing practice at the Museum of Science and Industry in Chicago. The chicks that hatch live in front of visitors in their chick hatching exhibit, are then sent to the Brookfield Zoo where they are fed to predator animals. This is a shocking truth hidden behind a seemingly innocent exhibit. Number 1. Disneyland and Disney World are iconic places, often associated with joyful family memories. However, there's a strange phenomenon that occurs in these parks. People so frequently scatter the ashes of their loved ones there that Disney had to establish a special procedure to deal with it. A dedicated team is ready to intervene as soon as an ash scattering is reported, cleaning up the area to maintain the park's joyful atmosphere.
You have to hear this. A man claims that he encountered a demon while working as security at a strip club. Protestant Christian YouTuber End Times Productions said that back in 2015, when he was 29 years old, he got hired as a security guy at a strip club in Key West, Florida. He said that he's a big guy, 6'4" and 225 pounds. And after a year, he worked his way up to becoming the main security guy there. He said that the club was open until 4 a.m. and that it was a very busy part of town. He referred to it as Party Central. He said that he has many stories about the place, but there's one night in particular that he will never forget. He said that one night at around 2:30 a.m., a woman tried to come into the club. He said that they would never let single women into the club because they would, quote, snipe the men. And they wanted all the men to stay there because they were paying the bartenders, the dancers, and the waitresses. So it was bad for business. On this particular night, the woman, who was around 40 years old, approached him and tried to make small talk. He said, okay, cool, but I can't let you in. She started to get a little upset and angry, but he said, sorry, no matter what you do or what you say, I can't let you in. She then grew more angry and started arguing with him. So he said, just leave before I call the police. What happened next is crazy. He said that she turned around and started to walk away. Then she turned back toward him with an evil grin on her face, but her eyes were completely black. There was no white in them at all. He said that shivers went up his spine and his blood ran cold. And he was thinking to himself, whoa, what just happened? As she walked out the door.
I don't know. That sounds like that could be a skinwalker. Eyes turned on black. Or a case of the black-eyed kids. He was just doing his job. He wasn't letting her in. I don't know what her problem was. She could have been a demon. That's what he said. Yeah, late at night.
A 6-year-old took the life of his classmate because she rejected him. 6-year-old Dedrick Owens lived in Mount Morris Township, Michigan, which was about an hour away from the state's capital. He wasn't born into the best family as his father was in jail, but on the other hand, his mother was there and tried to support him and his brother as much as she could. She worked 2 jobs, but it wasn't enough and they got evicted. Dedrick ended up living in a crack house with his uncle, and this soon would affect his behavior. At 6 years old, his behavior was really bad. He would swear, flip people off, pinch, and hit other kids. His behavior got so bad that he had even stabbed a girl with a pencil in his school. On February 29th of 2000, Dedrick got into a fight with another male classmate. It escalated so quickly that he had even threatened to shoot the boy. No one knew that Dedrick had found a gun at his uncle's house and brought it with him to school along with a knife. He decided not to use it yet because he had plans on using it on 6-year-old Kayla Rowland. Just the day before, Dedrick tried to kiss Kayla, but she pushed him away and rejected him, which made him really mad and he wanted revenge. Once it was time to change classes, Dedrick walked up to Kayla and said, "I don't like you," and shot her once in the arm. The bullet entered her right arm and hit a vital artery, which caused her to suffer from a cardiac arrest, and she was pronounced dead. Dedrick had threw the gun in the trash before running to a nearby bathroom, but eventually was cornered by teachers and law enforcement. Once he was in police custody, he explained what he had done and showed no remorse. Because of Dedrick's age, he was not charged with murder, but was instead expelled for 90 days and was placed into foster care. His uncle ended up being arrested and sentenced up to 15 years for involuntary manslaughter.
These are brands with disturbing secrets. Surprisingly, Kellogg's cornflakes weren't invented as a tasty breakfast cereal, but to curb sexual desires. A fanatically religious John Harvey Kellogg invented the cereal while working at a sanitarium and believed that richer foods would increase your sexual desires while plain foods would lessen it. So he invented the most boring breakfast cereal ever to stop people enjoying themselves a little too much. Thankfully, his brother Will would come to the rescue and see some sense by adding sugar and marketing the cereal properly, eventually winning a legal battle for control of the whole company.
Whoa. We know that's the wrong theory.
Ants can live a really long time. Like, way longer than I thought. Your normal everyday ant can live like 4 to 15 years. And there have been queens on record living up to 28 years. Next time I have to step on an ant, I'm really gonna be like mourning their whole ass life. This is the hognose snake, and when it feels threatened, it'll puff itself up and hiss at you. But if that doesn't work, it'll flip itself over and play dead. And if you take the snake and flip it from its back to its belly, it'll just flip itself back over. Like, no, I'm supposed to be dead. Penguins are able to drink salt water like it's fresh water because they have this gland behind their eyes that actually filters their blood and allows them to sneeze the salt out. Now, I'm not saying that we need to hire a bunch of penguins to save the world or whatever, but it's an option.
You're spitting at the end.
According to a recent study on rainbow trout, fish can suffer for more than 20 minutes of intense pain after being taken out of the water. When fish are removed from water, their gills collapse, preventing oxygen intake and causing carbon dioxide to build up in their system. This triggers a strong physiological pain response, which researchers now widely accept as evidence that fish can experience real suffering. The study adds to growing scientific consensus that fish are sentient, capable of feeling pain, and should be treated more humanely in commercial fishing and aquaculture practices.
She lost her life from this poisonous birthday cake.
Where'd she get the cake from?
On March 24th of 2024, it was 10-year-old Manvi's birthday in India. For her birthday celebration, her family ordered a cake online from a place called Cake Ganha. Around 7 p.m., Manvi was cutting the cake in front of her family, and this was all being recorded on video. All of the family members, including Manvi, consumed the cake, and about 3 hours later, they all got really sick. Manvi and her sister began vomiting, and she even complained of extreme thirst and dryness in her mouth, so she asked for water. After drinking her water, she went to sleep, but by the morning, her health would deteriorate. Around 3 a.m. is when everything would go downhill for Manvi, and her family rushed her to the hospital. When she arrived to the hospital, doctors administered oxygen to her and an ECG was done, but soon after that, she passed away. Her family claimed that there had to be a poisonous substance in the cake since they all got sick and filed a report against the owner of Cake Ganha. Back at home, Manvi's family still had the cake sitting there, so they took a sample of it so it could get tested, and once it came back, it revealed that her cause of death was suspected food poisoning. Ultimately, high levels of synthetic sweetener made the whole family sick from eating this cake and even resulted in death.
Man, we gotta watch what they be putting into this food. Synthetic sweeteners, man, just for them to save some money. And look what happened. We gotta watch what we put into our bodies, man. Let's give us natural food from the earth like it was intended.
Historical belongings that survived. King Edward VII love chair, made because he's fat and he had more than 50 mistresses. King Henry VIII armor. Queen Elizabeth I coronation glove. Comparison between Queen Elizabeth I and Elizabeth II coronation gloves. Catherine the Great furniture. Warning, do not look it up. Marie Antoinette's death mask. Queen Victoria's mourning dress. Shirt worn by King Charles I at the time of his execution. Queen Victoria's drawing of King Henry VIII and Anne Boleyn. Tooth and hair belonging to Catherine Parr.
The 3 most dangerous places you should never set foot. Number 3. The Hoia Baciu Forest, located in Romania, is often dubbed the Haunted Forest due to the many paranormal stories reported there. Many visitors have described feelings of anxiety, a sense of being watched, and some even claim to have seen ghostly apparitions. In addition to the inexplicable phenomena, the forest features oddly shaped trees in areas where vegetation doesn't grow at all, heightening its mysterious ambience. Number 2. The Chernobyl zone in Ukraine is the site of the biggest nuclear disaster in history. In 1986, a reactor at the nuclear power plant exploded, releasing significant amounts of radioactive material into the environment. Today, while some parts of the region are open for strictly controlled tours, others remain highly contaminated by radiation and can pose a severe health hazard. It's crucial to adhere to safety guidelines and not stray off marked paths. Number 1. The Valley of the Kings in Egypt, located on the west bank of the Nile near Luxor, is famous for its royal tombs dating back to ancient Egypt. While it's a popular tourist destination, it comes with risks. Beyond natural dangers like extreme heat and the risk of dehydration, there have been speculations and legends about the Pharaoh's curse, where those who disturb the Pharaoh's tombs would be cursed.
Facts that I wish I didn't know. When you die, the last thing to go is your hearing. So as all your other mortal sensations are leaving this world, the last thing you're ever going to experience are the sounds going on around you, which very well could be like your family members crying or cheering. By the year 2050, there's going to be more plastic in the ocean than fish. When pigs get a cold, like a cough, very often they will shoot their intestines out of their anus, and farmers have to, like, stuff it back in.
That's disturbing.
This is why you should always keep pictures of your parents. A little girl named Olivia who lived a very quiet life decided to check her homework assignments that were posted online. The teacher posted that they needed to write down their favorite memory with their family as well as bring a photograph. Olivia then writes about how her and her mom play dolls every night in the basement before bed and that she has a lot of fun doing so. She finishes her paragraph and then looks in her dad's drawer for a photograph of mom. She only found pictures of her mom from high school but decided to use it anyway. Olivia goes to bed and wakes up the next morning. Once she arrives at school, the teacher then says, "Let's start presenting our project." Then the teacher called Olivia's name to present. Olivia then begins to read about how her and her mom play dolls every night and then pulls out the photograph. As soon as Olivia pulled out the photograph, her teacher's face goes numb. She then asks Olivia if she can take a closer look at the photograph. She then recognized her mom as one of her previous students. Then the teacher asks, "Where did you get this photo?" Olivia says, "My dad keeps them in his drawer." The teacher, shocked, sits down Olivia and pulls out an old newspaper. The newspaper headline, "Local high school teen murdered, boyfriend gone missing." The teacher then looks at Olivia and says, "Your mom has been dead for 14 years.
So who's the dad then? What the hell? That's a mystery that we're going to solve. Okay. Seekers, if you guys made it with me to the end of the video, you're a true seeker seeking the truth. I really appreciate the support. Make sure you guys leave a thumbs up in this video. Comment down below. Don't forget to hit that post notification bell. You guys are going to catch you in the next one, man. I'm out. Peace, YouTube.